It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech. We have a great panel for you. The return of Denise Howell, formerly of This Week in Law. She'll be telling you about her new podcast launching soon. Alex Lindsay, you know him from MacBreak Weekly and OfficeHours.global. And a brand new visitor, Jason Del Rey. His new book, Winner Sells All, is all about the battle between Amazon and Walmart. And we'll be talking a lot about Amazon and Walmart and Google. And yes, we'll mention the cage match. It's all coming up next on TWiT.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 933, recorded Sunday, June 25th, 2023. The Iliad Flow. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Lookout. Whether on a device or in the cloud, your business data is always on the move. Minimize risk, increase visibility, and ensure compliance with Lookout's unified platform. Visit lookout.com today. And by AG1 by Athletic Greens. If you're looking for a simpler and cost-effective supplement routine, AG1 is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase of a subscription. Go to athleticgreens.com/twit. And by ACI Learning. IT skills become outdated in about 18 months. You need to stay ahead of the curve and future-proof your business's competitiveness with customizable, entertaining training. Fill out the form at go.acilearning.com/twit for more information on a free 2-week training trial for your team. And by Miro. Miro is your team's online workspace to connect, collaborate, and create together. Tap into a way to map processes, systems, and plans with the whole team and get your first 3 boards for free to start creating your best work yet at Miro.com/podcast. It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. Oh, you're going to like this panel because we got 2 oldies and a goodie. Denise Howell, you're not an oldie. You're a goodie. Internet and technology lawyer, former host of This Week in Law. Her new podcast is coming soon, hearsayculture.com. Hi, Denise.
Hi there.
Wonderful
That's
to
our
see
network. We'll have a number of podcasts there.
What's yours going to be called?
I'm going to be on 2. My main one is going to be called Uneven Distribution, with a nod to William Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also going to be on R&D with D&D.
You're one of the Ds, I presume.
I'm one of the Ds.
That's awesome.
Dave Levine is the other D.
Nice. Can't wait. It's great
Thanks.
to see you. We were down your way, but I didn't knock on your door because we just drove by and waved. I hope that was good enough.
Yes,
Another
I felt
oldie and goodie, Alex Lindsay, is also here. Normally you see him on MacBreak Weekly, but every once in a while we let him come up to the adult table. OfficeHours.global and ZeroNonZero.media. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
I was thinking about Rumsleg when I was at the new Disney Star Wars.
Did you see Rumsleg? Was he there?
I looked for him. I couldn't find him. We did buy $250 lightsabers, though. So,
well, there's, for a good quality lightsaber, it's about that. There's some folks that I work with that make really movie quality. I mean, they're from the Island Model Shop, and they make
these are like that. They're metal. They're really nice.
Yeah.
But of course, they won't cut you in half, which is probably a good thing. They have fluorescent tubes, and then there's this
I always thought that they should make little ones.
Just like you slice your bread with, or maybe a turkey.
Like it slices, it dices, it cooks while it cuts.
But Dyson could make one, like for Thanksgiving. It'd be great. The turkey lightsaber. Hey, we want to welcome somebody new, never been on the show before, but I'm thrilled to have him, Jason Del Rey. He has just published a hot ticket, Winner Sells All, Amazon, Walmart, and the Battle for Our Wallets. On Audible. I have the Kindle version, also in hardcover for you old timers.
It's great. Whatever you want.
Jason, welcome. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
It's a really good book. I bought the Kindle version, but I also read the excerpt Fortune published about PillPack, and I read it with interest because PillPack used to be a sponsor, and I did not realize Walmart was ready to buy them.
That's correct.
And then it fell through.
It did. They dragged their feet a bit, as they've done on a couple of big acquisitions that Amazon was also involved in.
And they'd already, I guess, talked to Amazon, but Amazon said, hey, if Walmart's not interested, we still are. But TJ doesn't seem too happy at Amazon.
Well, he's out now and doing the VC thing, which...
So he
still wants to work.
A big enough check that he could do that. That's all I need to know. 32 years old when he sold for, who knows, hundreds of millions probably.
Around $1 billion, yep.
$1 billion. PillPack, as you might remember if you saw the ads, had these machines. They would package your prescription and your vitamins in little plastic pouches and send them out to you, so they were already ready to go. And it was actually I thought I used it for a while. It was quite a cool service. I haven't used the Amazon version. Is it the same? Has it changed?
I do not use the service, but I saw some very big media personalities on Twitter complaining about the service post Amazon acquisition.
Yeah. Amazon struggled with health, haven't they? For a while, they had. It looked like they were going to get big. Maybe still looks like they're going to get big into the health business. Maybe regulatory snafus. But go ahead. You write about this in the book, I know.
Yeah, they're still going at it. I mean, they just spent almost $4 billion for essentially a future-looking doctor's chain. I mean, One Medical, and Walmart the same. I mean, the biggest issue at Walmart with their healthcare initiatives is that they can't keep a health leader more than like 18 months at the company. Yeah, I think they've gone through like 9 or 10 in 10 years, but they both want to be there. So it's a space I didn't know much about before reporting the book, but space I think they're both potentially could have profound impact in.
I think that the challenge really, I've been thinking about this a little bit related to medical specifically. And I think that one of the problems is that what Amazon does when it buys a company is usually drain out the goodness of it to make it more efficient. Like let's take a little bit of the goodness out and then make it more efficient so that we can make more money at it. Your margin is our opportunity, and they squeeze that. And you can feel that even when you go to Whole Foods. You go to Whole Foods and now you can't. About once a week you can actually get arugula, which is something I put in my salads. And there's some kind of supply chain thing there, and that they're just cutting corners somewhere. Like there's things that just run out, and then they're slowly turning Whole Foods into Trader Joe's. They keep on adding 365 brands and so on and so forth, and everything gets kind of dumbed down. And I think that
as a Trader Joe's lover, we'll continue that conversation later.
Anyway, so I'm like, if I want to go to Trader Joe's,
why do you hate
3 blocks?
What kind of evil person hates Trader Joe's?
I just want to pick. It's weird. It's a weird place. Anyway, so it's like a weird
What's
layout.
Wrong
and
with
it's all
you? Don't
Trader
you
Joe's
like
stuff.
snacks with humorous names?
I don't like snacks, actually.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't. And the thing is that I have brands that I want, and I have things that I want, and I want to go and get the things that I want to have. I want to have them. I don't want them all under one brand. And so I kind of feel like the Trader Joe's is like 3 blocks from Whole Foods in Novato. I feel like if I want to go to Trader Joe's, I can go to Trader Joe's, but I want to go to Whole Foods and buy the brands that, and you just watch, I'm just watching them slowly work those brands out and put their own in, and they make it harder to find the brands. And as soon as it becomes hard to find the brand in Whole Foods, that there's going to be a 365 brand that's going to get added to where that one was. Like the Nutella is going to go away, and they're going to add their own version of Nutella, and it's going to be in there, and so on and so forth. And they just do this. And so you just watch this thing. And I think the reason I bring this up is because I think people are more sensitive to that when it comes to medicine because it might kill them.
That's a good point.
And so
that's a good point.
The thing is that
don't be putting peanut butter in my Cialis. That's a very good point. Yes, I agree.
So I think that's why they have trouble with it, is they try to
peanut butter Cialis
out.
Pretzels would not be a bad product. I'm just saying.
I think Trader Joe's would sell that, not Whole Foods, though.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that that's the challenge that they have with medicine, is that people are a little bit more sensitive. A lot of people have anecdotally said that some of the generic drugs are not as effective as the real drugs. They're like, hey, I know people say they're the same, but they're not.
It's not true, is it?
No, it's coming up in India. They have all kinds of problems with it.
I thought formulaically they're identical, right?
they are supposed to be formulaically identical, but when they're made cheaply, it turns out that they're not identical. and so
you
the
put
thing
baby
is
laxative in my metformin.
You put more sawdust in there, and it's not as effective. And so, and I've had friends that have had, they've had all kinds of problems with those. And so the thing is that in the same sense, though, as I think that the problem is people get sensitive when they think that it might affect their health or that it might kill them.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're more sensitive. You're cutting corners. And so I think that that's where health is, gets a little more complicated, for them, and I think that that's going to continue to be a challenge because they're so margin formulaically, pointed.
Wow, that's the first I've heard of that, and I am now concerned for the entire health insurance industry that only covers generic drugs.
I pretty much, because I'm on Kaiser, which is a health maintenance organization, an HMO in the West Coast. Pretty much all I can get is generic, but it saves you a lot of money. I hope I'm getting medicated properly.
I hope you're not getting harmed.
Yeah,
because the
It
lawsuits
hasn't been. I don't.
I had no idea. I really thought they were identical, but
and they should be. It's just that there's.
Maybe it's just India that we have a problem with, right?
I don't know. I mean, there's no margin in generic drugs. There's no money in generic drugs, and so when there's no money in something, you can expect the quality to vary.
I don't want to channel RFK Jr. or anything.
I'm not that. But I'm not trying to do that. I specifically have a.
That's not
a friend
this show.
Who had
That's Joe Rogan.
I had a friend who had a mother who had Alzheimer's. She was. And she had drugs for that, and sometimes they worked, and sometimes they did. Sometimes they're really effective, and sometimes they weren't. And as they started talking about it, they started realizing that the formula, it wasn't that it was damaging; it was just that it wasn't. Some batches weren't effective.
Yeah,
and they were varying enough that it was a problem. So
that's your next book, Jason. I want you to get to work on that right now,
man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
see, you mentioned Trader Joe's, and my mind immediately went to the Slate article this week called Trader Ooze. You're not imagining it. Trader Joe's employees are all boning each other.
Wow.
Actually, my daughter worked there for a year. I immediely said, is that true? She said, oh, yeah.
Ooh, that just, man. There was a lot of stuff going on at the Clifton, New Jersey Trader Joe's, but I didn't sense that. But
well, I think it's the Hawaiian shirts and just the vibe, right?
The age group, too. They hire a lot of young people.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry to derail this. What was a very highfalutin conversation.
Never got there. Don't worry.
All right, let's talk about the week's tech news. There was a lot happening this week, and I was unfortunately out of pocket for 3 days. Jason Howell, our producer, said, "Hey, Jason Del Rey's coming on, and there's nothing. It's Saturday, and there's nothing to talk about." I said, "Don't worry, I will be retroactively going through the news." And in fact, a lot of stuff happened, but I kind of wanted to put the Amazon and Walmart stuff up front because Jason is an expert on all of that. Amazon, I think the big story for Amazon this week is the EU is mad because they say Amazon Prime is using dark patterns. Actually, I'm sorry. It's not the EU. It's the US. It's us.
FTC. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
FTC has
the
sued
iRobot.
The iRobot's EU. I get them all confused. Okay. Actually, this is Lena Khan's FTC suing Amazon over manipulative tactics used to enroll millions in Prime, according to the Wall Street Journal, using dark patterns, not so much to get you in, but to make it hard to get out. Unfortunately, the filing, the FTC filing, was heavily redacted. Did you look at it, Jason?
Oh, I attempted to. Yeah, there was more black than I don't know what, but yes. Yeah, so definitely an issue. I mean, they are alleging, in some cases, especially, when someone thinks they're signing up for just Prime Video, they're kind of getting pushed in the direction of the more expensive Prime offering and a couple other tricks and other dark patterns using on the way in to get people signed up. But then they were also alleging that the 16-step cancellation process, which Amazon has largely corrected, I think, the FTC alleging not until April of this year. So yeah, that was not necessarily the FTC complaint that many people watching this dynamic were expecting, but perhaps just the first of two with something on the antitrust front coming eventually, though we've been waiting.
I'm curious because I think politically this might not be the first thing I would have filed as the FTC, because I think people, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they like Amazon Prime.
I mean,
I didn't know people actually got the video service without the shipping service. I thought the video service just kind of came for free with the shipping service, because I've had the shipping service like since it started.
Me too.
And then I got video, and then they're like, no, I get video. But if they killed that, if they killed the video part or separated it out, I wouldn't get it anymore. I'd be like, okay, whatever.
You get a lot. You get Amazon Prime members get unlimited photo storage for free. The delivery for the 2-day delivery.
I get so many Amazon.
Seems to be a little less than it used to be, right? Like
I get mine on the same day. Like I get mine on the same day.
Well,
I get them in the morning.
Sometimes it's the same day, and sometimes it's 2 weeks from now, and it's not clear what it's going to be. Go ahead, Jason. Explain that.
No. I mean, I've been trying to some parts of the U.S. Where I live now in New Jersey. Overnight on.
If you have a warehouse near you, you get it right away, right?
Which I do. There's one in Napa.
Yeah,
that's one.
Yeah, and we have one being built in our town, but we have many others. But in some parts of the country, I mean, I had a piece on this last year. 2-day Prime just sort of completely went away, and the company's just not saying, and it's not better than 2-day. It's become worse. And actually, had a former Amazonian logistics data analyst volunteer to do a little test and study for me, and in some parts of Washington State and some other regions in the country, just with the pandemic, it kind of just went away for good. But company's not, I was never able to figure out exactly what's going on there. But for many people, like Alex is saying, it has gotten faster. It's kind of luck of
it's inconsistent.
You're living right now.
It definitely feels like
it's definitely a cost center for Amazon. I don't know if they make money on Prime. And they certainly are trying to push you to, for instance, delivery day, saying, oh, everything comes on Monday. It all comes on Monday. That'll save you gas and stuff. So
I do like that. It is if you aren't rushing to get your item, that is the most environmentally friendly way to go about it. Yeah. But especially if you order multiple items a week.
I didn't know this. Somebody, Minuteman in our
items a day.
Oh gosh, I have an Amazon package at the door every day. It's not just me; it's a family worth. Mike Mann says Amazon Prime includes Grubhub free delivery. Who knew that? I didn't.
It does. I knew that. So we've been doing that.
But my point is that politically, I don't know if people are going to support attacking Amazon Prime, because I think. It's hard to, or it used to be hard to cancel it, but most people never cancel it.
Well, I think it's so and I think that the lock-in for Amazon is on the other side too. Like you go to Whole Foods and you drop off your stuff you don't want, and that at first I was like, how does this make them money? Because they ask you not to even put them back in the box. You know they're not going back on. They say don't put them in the box, just bring them over.
We're going to throw them out.
No, they don't throw them out. I actually had a conversation with someone about this. It's in office hours.
They put them in a giant bin. And they ship it to Amazon where they throw it out.
No, they there's a box at Whole Foods, and they scan them and throw them in, scan them, throw them in, scan them, throw them in. It'll never come out of that box. It goes to a box. It goes somewhere, and people who sell stuff on eBay.
Right.
They get told what's in it. Resellers. They're not told what the condition is, but they're told like, hey, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, and this is the price of the box. Like you take it or leave it. You're not, and then they go and they buy it, and it's it's pennies on the dollar.
But that's a good way to recycle it. That's better than Chinese kids burning it and causing cancer.
Yeah, they're selling it back into, they're injecting it back into eBay, and they're letting people do whatever they're going to do with it. But people get to see what's in it because they scanned it. It's a very efficient system. But I was still like, they're losing a lot of money. They're not. There's or it felt like
returns
they're losing a lot of money. But I realized
there's no way to make money on returns. You're going to or save money. This is going to cost you a huge amount.
But what I realized is I am super resistant to buying anything that's on Amazon anywhere else, because if I buy it, I know that I can just take it to Whole Foods the next time I go to pick up my arugula, and I just drop it off and move on. And I'm like, oh,
I'm going to ask Jason, but my guess is Amazon does a lot of these things that seemed like a very good idea in the early stage of enshittification when they were trying to build their customer base. But late stage Amazon, these are cost centers that they would love to get rid of. Jason, am I right?
Yeah, they've been. I mean, they've given us this convenience, but you're right. It has become, problematic as they scale. And so you see, we do UPS drop off for free in our town, and no packaging, nothing. Although my wife actually will package stuff up just to get rid of the cardboard, all the cardboard that we have. And I don't know if that's doing anything better for the environment, but she likes to think it is. But now they're experimenting with charging again $1 for UPS drop-offs, or, we have a big delivery. If we bring it to Kohl's, it's free, but if we bring it to UPS now, it's going to be $7. And so they are, the return logistics is super costly. And I think they're still trying to sort it now as they cut costs in other areas. Yes, it's expensive, but it is so, like Alex was saying, I mean, it's such a lock-in just to know you can order 77 variations of
I bought all these. I was trying to figure out long USB-C cables for my little cameras, and I just bought like 4 sets. Just 4 different versions, and then I just took 3 sets and I gave them back to them. I was like, no, these don't work.
I'm not proud to admit this, but last night I couldn't find my Ethernet adapter, and for overnight delivery, I needed to hit the minimum.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I bought 2,
right?
And just to hit them
to make sure,
and to hit the minimum, and and one will go back tomorrow.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
I could do a little pattern recognition for us on the dark patterns issue. You guys will remember that the FTC also came after Epic Games for that. And they ultimately settled that complaint for $245 million.
Can you explain it? What is the dark patterns that they're talking about?
By the way, Vonage paid $100 million. Same thing, how hard it was to cancel. I'll read you
that makes it the dark pattern, or the
let me read you the complaint, or part of it, the part that we can see underneath the black marker from the Wall Street Journal. The complaint alleged that Amazon used, quote, manipulative, coercive, or deceptive user interface designs known as dark patterns, end quote, to dupe users into automatically renewing Prime subscriptions. Amazon leadership slowed or rejected changes that would have made it easier for users to cancel Prime because those changes adversely affected Amazon's bottom line. They talk about how many clicks to get Amazon Prime, which is a couple, compared to how many clicks, at least until April, to cancel Amazon Prime, which was a 4-page, 6-click, 15-option cancellation process. Amazon internally called the Iliad Flow in a reference to Homer's endless Trojan War story. The agency said the, quote, labyrinthine procedure, end quote, was designed to make it cumbersome and confusing for customers to cancel Prime. So go ahead, Denise, explain to us what are dark patterns and why are they wrong?
Dark patterns, you see them every day. They are every time you come to a decision point that involves commerce, usually, or involves some sort of giving up of your rights or acceptance of terms.
Media sites are terrible.
It's like all those GDPR things that
all the
like,
GDPR. Ooh, well,
you
the
can say
EU,
yes, or we're going to give you a whole bunch of pages. You can't actually find the button.
Right. So the EU actually cracked down on that. And you may have noticed there's been a shift in all those GDPR cookie warnings that you're getting, where it used to be that they could default you to opting in to all the data collection, et cetera. Now they have to default you to opting out, and you have to affirmatively check that you're going to opt in, because the EU also, like our FTC, is no fan of this practice. So it's when there's a big colored button that makes it attractive and you almost, rush to go click that. And there's something small or grayed out or white or whatever that is your eye doesn't go right to it.
Microsoft does this like
the
crazy.
Right choice.
Microsoft does this
Everybody
when
does
you're
that.
going to buy Windows 11 or upgrade to Windows 11. Big colorful button that says yes, and then barely discernible because it's gray on white or something. It says, or you can just not do it, but we don't. Please,
Right?
You know, those are so we've all experienced dark patterns like crazy.
Yes.
But the is this a new trend that the FTC is cracking down on these?
Seems to be. I didn't know about Vonage, so that's 3.
There's definitely been other cases in e-commerce or online retail for sure, and so
good.
I mean, it is good. People love Amazon Prime.
Well, that's See, that's the thing. I don't know politically if it's if everybody's going to say, "Oh, yay! Finally, the FTC's cracking down on Amazon Prime." It was, it was the same problem with zero rating back in the day when telecom companies would not charge you bandwidth costs for certain streaming services, which to a consumer is, hey, that's great. What's wrong with that? But if you're a competing streaming service that doesn't get that, it's like, see, they're putting their thumb on the scale. Very hard to tell consumers this isn't good for you. I've tried to explain why zero rating is bad for years, and it's with little success. Here's the website, deceptive.design. I've referred to many times. This is, I love it, is a hall of shame of dark patterns, and there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. In fact, 24 for Google, 20 for Facebook, 17 for Amazon, 12 for Microsoft. The Trump campaign has 9. LinkedIn has 8. Instagram has 8. Apple 7. And that's just what's in the Hall of Shame. This is a great site if you're confused about why dark patterns are a bad thing. And apparently there are, federal laws against dark patterns in the U.S. as in the EU.
I think
there are laws against deceptive practices.
Right. That's why this is called deceptive.design, not dark patterns.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this is as an iPhone user why I'm so attached to the iPhone stores, because I can always cancel all my subscriptions. I can see where they all are and just go, no. And the idea of it of me having to deal with like figuring out where I was subscribed to what, I'm not excited about.
Here, Denise, also, you'd probably be interested in this. Epic Games, this is also from deceptive.design. Epic Games paid $245 million to settle charges they were using deceptive patterns at Fortnite. Our sponsor, Noom, the diet app, paid $62 million to settle charges they were using deceptive patterns in their subscription and auto renewal process. AT&T paid $105 million. This is all to the FTC to settle charges they were adding unauthorized fees for services. That's not a dark pattern exactly, but it's deceptive for sure. And there's a long list of effective lawsuits in the EU and the US on this website. It's a good source. If you're wondering, there were 90 total decisions against companies for deceptive patterns.
Yeah. And you can imagine, I mean, the problem, obviously it's a problem whenever you do it, but when you're targeting young people and children, and they're spending the family money, that's particularly
well, if my kids want to subscribe to Amazon Prime, damn it, I'm going to let them. That's good for all of us. Actually, that's another thing. Amazon Prime, everybody in the family gets a benefit, which makes it even harder to cancel. I know I canceled YouTube Premium, and man, did I hear about it from the 6 family members who were all suddenly getting ads on their YouTube.
I don't even know how someone could watch YouTube without
you
premium.
Have to pay
like
for
I've
it.
had it for so long, and when I've had it where I've changed my credit card or something, so it goes off for a day. And I am like, it is mind numbing. Like, it's like, how would you ever watch this content without turning?
May I introduce you to my 10-year-old son?
He can watch through those ads. He's fine.
He thinks it's all the same. He's just like,
it's more content.
It's more content.
Do you find that he,
when he's 13, he'll be beyond it?
Jason, do you find that he wants to buy a lot of the stuff he sees advertised on his Minecraft videos?
He is so basketball obsessed that frankly, it is. I don't hear about anything else. I probably should occasionally watch over his shoulder, though.
See what he's seeing. Yeah. So he's watching basketball videos.
That's all. Interesting. That's all for now. for now.
So the real reason,
if he wants to watch football in the fall, YouTube is the place to do it.
So exciting.
Yep.
As a Pittsburgh Steeler fan in San Francisco, I'm super excited about that because I can finally watch all the games.
Yeah. so is our unaccountably addicted to the Green Bay Packers 20-year-old son. I don't understand how this happened, but he will be able to watch.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that the Steelers and the Packers are the only cool teams.
Apparently so. Okay. Michael's going with Lisa and his father to Green Bay this fall to watch a Packers game at
that'll be cool.
It's a really cool field.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked a Green Bay game. It was really cold. That's all I can remember. Like, I can't feel my fingers.
Well, there is a debate in the family. I say they should go in December or January where you get the real fan experience. And ideally, as a Packer fan, he'd paint himself half gold, half green and take off his shirt in the 40 below weather for the real Lambeau experience. And if it's snowing, extra points. Anyway, back to the FTC. What are their odds? So Lina Khan has really, this was the promise made when Biden nominated her chairman of the FTC. She had already written as a professor at Harvard?
No, he's a student, Yale
PhD student, right? Or law school. Okay. Written a number of anti-big tech articles in the Law Review. So we kind of knew what we were going to get. Denise, grade her performance so far. She's certainly been fairly aggressive.
You want to let her grade? That's tough. I think we have to let this play out a little bit more.
Yes, that's a good point until we know whether it succeeds.
Yeah. But as far as, I mean, she seems to be very aggressive, particularly on the question of child online safety. And I mean, it's hard to argue with the fact that we could use some help in that regard, but I just don't know that Lina Khan and the FTC are sophisticated enough about how to implement and enforce.
She's been in office exactly 2 years, since June 15th. She has a 3-0 majority on the FTC. Let's not forget that she's also got a commission, but the Republicans haven't filled out their 3 seats. So I think she's been aggressive. Tim Wu says she's doing the stuff Congress should be doing, taking on privacy, non-competes, and AI. She's rebooted the antitrust law, right? Brought it back into prominence. There was very little antitrust action in the last 10 years under Republican presidents, right?
Yeah.
And Obama, I should point out, didn't do much either.
If the alternative is to leave it to Congress to do these things, then, U.S.
Chamber of Commerce says she's trying to ruin American business and entrepreneurship with onerous and unfair rules. Okay.
She's not alone, though. I mean, she's hand in glove with the EU and California and some other states.
That's true.
Did you know there are now 144 pending proposed child online safety laws in the United States?
Almost all of
the
them
various states.
Bad, though, right?
You got me. I haven't read all
the California laws. No, but I'm sure they're based on the California law, which was, I think, not a good direction to go and ineffective. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This is the problem with government regulation. I am not anti-regulation by any means, but there's always this risk that the government will be slow and heavy-handed and misunderstand the problem.
I don't think that the government is capable of it, to be honest. And I think the problem isn't so much that they don't care or that they're wrong. It's just to what Denise was kind of talking about. I don't know if they have the tools to do this well. Like, I don't think that they have. And when it has to go through that process, it may look like a scalpel when you started talking, but by the time by the time it becomes law, it's a dull broadsword that you're just swinging around. And and I think that that's the real problem with a lot of these things. I think that we have to think about what's safe for kids. Something obviously, if you look at the data something obviously is going wrong. Like something is going horribly wrong, and it starts at about 2013, and then depression starts spiking. All kinds of problems have happened because of online access. We don't know exactly. I don't think anybody knows. There's in other communities I'm in, there's a lot of discussion about that. No one really understands the math of what it is because it's not clear whether it's Facebook or it's Twitter or just messages, like just going back and forth. But there's something going wrong, but I don't know if the government has the apparatus, to actually make any meaningful change. I think that's the problem.
And short of appointing Leo dictator of all things tech policy, which I think would be a grand idea.
No, because I'd be frozen. I'd be frozen in inaction, not knowing, what should we do? Because I understand both sides. I think you want to encourage innovation. Sometimes that means antitrust regulations so that new companies can sprout up. But sometimes it means you punish the innovators in a way that discourages other innovators. It's very, very difficult. And
our legal process is so messy that the latest iteration of the California privacy law you were referring to, Leo, is coming to us courtesy of a ballot proposition that amended the privacy law.
But then the courts got involved in that, so that got amended.
Yes.
And
Well, and I think sometimes we need. I think one thing we oftentimes miss with regulation is very hard to manage. Tort is actually really effective. So companies being afraid of being sued actually often makes more change than companies, when you start suing companies for things that they're not doing. So sometimes I think that the government needs to think about not so much regulation, but taking away protections. Like, hey, we're not going to protect you for doing the things that you're doing, and we're going to let people sue you for it. And I think that one of the things that, I come from family lawyers, so that
a trial lawyer, we might add, right?
But when you when you look at like the one that most people make fun of is the McDonald's suit about the hot coffee. But when you get into the details of it, it is a completely reasonable thing that the jury came up with, which is, I think it was 1 day of coffee. Like the cost, the how much McDonald's makes on 1 day of coffee because they won't make the water a little. It's literally a little bit cooler because they think that it'll last longer. So they've decided that that's just the way they're going to do it. They had tons of things ahead of time, but what happens is that lawsuits force people to force companies to start thinking about it. So I think the real problem we get into is when we start limiting torts. And saying you can't sue for a lot of money, you can't cause real pain for corporations, then I think that's a much more of a scalpel than government regulation, which is that when someone's doing something stupid, it's going to get really expensive. And when they have to write that big check, they have to make, someone goes back and says, let's not do that again. And I think that's one of the things. I think you still need regulation, but I think sometimes in the finer details of things, because I know a lot of companies that spend a lot of time not doing things, not because that there's a law, it's just they don't want to get sued. They just don't want to,
Alex, the problem with that is if you take that to its logical conclusion, you do away with Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, because a lot of these companies are protected from tort actions by that law, and that's
right. And I don't. Again, I think it's a balance. I don't think it's an all or one. I think, but when we look at some of these things, because I am a huge proponent of 230. So I think that 230 should not be messed with. I don't think it's perfect. I think it's broken, but I don't think we should touch it, because if we pull one little pin out of that, we have no idea what's going to happen to what we're doing. So I completely agree with you there. I don't think that torts are the only answer. I just think that sometimes they come in and they start making things that they can handle things. Sometimes when we think about regulation, I think sometimes we have to think about that process as well.
There's something in the rundown that tackles this head on. It's that after Babel, why Haidt and Schmidt's proposed social media reforms
that's a great
are
story.
Insufficient.
I want to take a little break before we get to that, but that is a great story. I do want to wrap up the Lina Khan report card, because Axios Pro had a very interesting article this week about this. On the negative, the FTC, which went after Meta's acquisition of Within, the FTC gave up and said, all right, fine. And we're going to cover this, but more recently, if you've been watching the testimony in the Activision Blizzard administrative law case, it has not been going well for the FTC's case. They're trying to block the acquisition. that will be interesting to watch that. And then Axios points out, yeah, she's 2 years in, but she may only have 2 more years because we've got a presidential election in 2024. So this stuff takes a long time, and she may not have enough time to finish her job.
I think my biggest complaint with her is that she doesn't have any life experience. Like she's just
never too young. You sound like an old man, Alex.
I don't mean young. Look at her schedule. When has she actually worked in commerce?
Yeah, no, she's
an academic. She has and academics very rarely understand how companies run, and so I think that she's getting a mixture of being heavy-handed in places that she doesn't understand, and also losing because as soon as you start unwrapping this, you realize, oh, this is really complicated, and that's what happened to an academic when they get into actual production is like they open it up and they're like, oh, this was so simple when I was writing a book.
Jason, I'm sure you read her essay in Yale Law School, Amazon's Antitrust Paradox, because it's right up your alley. Was it accurate?
I mean, there was to me a compelling argument that the framework we've been using to establish antitrust wrongs in the last few decades is not sufficient to kind of rein in some of what might be problematic with the companies today. Just back to the Prime case, that lawsuit that they just filed. What's interesting to me is, and someone commenting publicly, I'm forgetting his name, and this is going to sound like a not nice way to describe his role, but basically he runs what's essentially a front group for Amazon and Google policy. But he was saying, why, she could have just settled. They've settled with all these other companies. Why didn't they just settle with Amazon on this? And I did wonder if, while Prime is really beloved, if she went after this first related to Amazon, because it's something more, the average person can understand.
They at least know they at least know the name. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's too early to grade her, but I think there are fair concerns about some of the selections they've made so far. My big thing for me in my world is, do they have the manpower to first of all really go through with a suit with this and then a separate antitrust suit? And will she have enough time?
Right.
So
always a problem
up in the air still,
right? Because every 4 years there's a new president, often the new FTC chair, and often a new party in power, and they reverse each other back and forth. I agree with you, Alex, about tort law maybe being something that's a necessary corrective.
It's not a replacement. It's just that it's I don't want to make it sound like I think that we should get rid of all regulation and just
but understand there are companies who say, well, we've got to stop. We need tort reform and we need to stop regulation. They want to take all the tools away.
Right.
And exactly. and I think maybe I don't have an opinion on Lina Khan, but I do think it's about time somebody at least said big tech is running rampant unchecked. Maybe we should look at this. I mean, look, we're technology podcasts. I've based my entire career covering tech. I like tech. I think we get a lot of benefit from big tech. I don't think there's any company in the world except Apple that could have created the Vision Pro. I mean, there's a certain value to size, but at the same time, there's a huge value to innovation and competition, and I believe in that too. So that's why this is such a challenge, right? And government seems like not an ideal tool. I mean, I'm glad to see government involved. They should say something. If you see something, say something. But whether that'll be enough to be effective, I don't know. At least it'll raise people's awareness. If nothing else, people now looking at, well, if I wanted to cancel Prime, what would I have to do? Is Prime still... Most of the problem with Prime is nobody ever thinks about it. Like, just every year I'm going to renew. I'm sure it's worth it.
Well, and I think that there's some things just the government showing people what's going on. Like, I think California law that makes a lot of sense is... California makes a lot of bad laws, but one of the good laws that they do make is you have to show the calories for everything that you're selling at a restaurant. And I got to tell you, there's things that I look at that I used to think were healthy, and I look at it and I go, "Whoa, I'm not going to eat that anymore." And they didn't have to. Go ahead.
Now you just feel bad, though.
No. It has definitely made significant changes of my behavior based on looking at food and just going, that's 1,000 calories.
Yeah, if nothing else, that's the value, right?
But I think that's very valuable, and I think that should be nation. I mean, I think that just doing those kinds of things where you really show people like what's actually happening there, I think is where the government can be very effective. Is research and publishing
information.
Yep.
All right, we got to take a break. I want to come back. We have lots more to talk about. Great panel here. Alex Lindsay, from MacBreak Weekly. Denise Howell, from This Week in Law. And don't forget hearsayculture.com. Her new podcast's coming. And a new member of our panel. Great to have you, Jason Del Rey. His new book, Winner Sells All, is about the battle between Amazon and Walmart. And, speaking of exposing information we weren't aware of, there is a lot of interesting juice about Walmart in here and how seriously they took the Amazon threat.
That's right. Or how they didn't take it very seriously.
They didn't take it seriously until they did, right?
Until they did. And now the last 5 to 7 years, they're starting to move pretty aggressively to the point that no longer, at least in my opinion, a laughing stock in digital,
right?
Which they were for about 2 decades.
I remember them buying Jet.com and just destroying it, basically. Not that it had much promise to begin with.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch on that in the book, and then the clashes between that leadership team and the old guard at Walmart, who, to be fair, had a very difficult job grinding profits out of those supercenters, and did not look fondly upon Mark Lorre, just especially admitting publicly, they make the money and I spend it. Probably doesn't go over well in Arkansas.
Mark Lorre was the founder of Jet.com, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
And when they bought him, he became a power broker within the Walmart. I love your story about Sam Walton, who's dying, and discovering how much the hospital was charging him for an MRI, saying to the Walmart leadership team, we got to do something about this healthcare costs.
That was, and they there's a lot of what would Sam do
interesting
still spoken about inside that company.
I have to say, probably because I'm a metrosexual, that's probably didn't come out right, but because I'm a metropolitan type guy, I'm team Amazon, right? And I would guess that in rural markets, team Walmart for the most part, right?
Amazon's everywhere now.
Yeah,
but,
it doesn't matter.
But I will tell you, I visited what Walmart calls their home office
in Bentonville, Arkansas.
And it ranks top 10 for places to raise a family in the U.S. almost every year now. It is a unique place, but pretty cool.
A regular panelist in our show, Phil Libben, who was the founder of Evernote.
Oh, yeah.
Last time he was on, he said, I've moved to Bentonville. It's the best place in the world. He loves Bentonville. He talks about all the new restaurants that are opening up because it's getting gentrified.
It is the Walton family's just pouring. I was going to say billions, but maybe not billions, but a lot of money into that place, including a $350 million new Walmart campus.
My friend compared it to Pleasantville.
Yeah, I think it's Pleasantville, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil Libben has built their company headquarters in this really cool building in Bentonville. It really is very interesting. Yeah. I'm envy you going to Bentonville, and you had a good reason to, too. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with more with Denise, Alex, and Jason. Our show today brought to you by Lookout. Business has changed forever. Boundaries to where we work, even how we work, dissolving in the mist. That means your data is always on the move, whether it's on a device, in the cloud, across networks, or at the local Airship coffee shop in Bentonville, Arkansas. Well, that's great for your workforce. They love it. They can be anywhere, but it is a challenge for IT security, right? That's why you need Lookout. Lookout helps you control your data and free your workforce. With Lookout, you'll gain complete visibility into all your data so you can minimize risk from external and internal threats, plus ensure compliance By seamlessly securing hybrid work, your organization doesn't have to sacrifice productivity for security. Everybody's happy. And your IT team will be happy because Lookout makes IT security a lot simpler. That team, which is, had to struggle with multiple point solutions and legacy tools, that's just too complex in an environment where instant response is number one. With its single unified platform, Lookout reduces IT complexity so your team can get the job done and then focus on whatever else is coming your way. Good data protection. It shouldn't be a cage. It should be a springboard, letting you and your organization bound toward the future of your making. Visit lookout.com today to learn how to safeguard data, secure hybrid work, and reduce IT complexity. Lookout.com. We thank Lookout for their support of This Week in Tech. Make sure you tell them when they say, "Hey, how'd you find out about us?" "Oh, Leo told me." Just say, "Twit. I saw it on Twit." Denise, Howell, Alex, Lindsay, Jason, Del Rey. Since we're talking about Lena Khan, we should probably talk about the Activision hearings, the Microsoft Activision acquisition. Testimony began this week, and wow. I don't think it's going well for the FTC. Among other things revealed. Now, it's not a trial, right? There's an administrative judge, so it's more like a hearing. But the judge will decide if the action to block the acquisition goes forward. Here's this from The Verge. Tom Warren, I guess, is in the courtroom. "We're only minutes into the hearing. We've already had a bombshell revelation." Jim Ryan of PlayStation says blocking the acquisition isn't about exclusives. According to Sony, that's all it's about. According to a newly unsealed internal email, Microsoft's lawyers revealed the exchange between PlayStation chief Jim Ryan and Chris Deering, former CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment. Ryan said in the email, quote, "It's not an exclusivity play at all. They're thinking bigger than that, and they have the cash to make moves like this. I've spent a fair amount of time with both Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick over the past day. I'm pretty sure we'll continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come." Oh, no. As my internet lawyer, Denise, you probably would advise me not to put thoughts like that in writing.
Yes, please don't.
Discovery's a bitch.
Yeah.
This kind of undermines Sony's entire case, in which they're saying, well, we're worried about Call of Duty leaving our platform. And by the way, Microsoft has said again and again, Phil Spencer signed a deal saying, we'll give it to you for 10 years guaranteed.
And it's hard for them to say that they're going to give it guaranteed. Like, what if Sony changes the rules? Which has been brought up. Well,
they have a contract, though. Like, hey, we know for 10 years, this is what the deal is, right?
Right. If they do that, absolutely. Because the FTC tried to press, hey, are you going to, promising that that's our goal? And they said, well, they're trying to press down on the goal. And they're like, well, if they change the rules, we're not going to make everything available. Right. That's not going to make sense. So I think that that's the case. I do find this one to be a little bit digging a little deep, for the FTC. I feel like this one was like...
The EU has already approved it.
Right.
Japan...
And if the EU approves it, you're kind of like, okay, well...
Japan, where Sony's headquartered, has approved it. Right. The only other person blocking it right now is the UK. And they chose a very interesting tack. They said not so much it was about the console wars, but it was about the future of cloud gaming, whose future, I might add, is pretty cloudy after Google pulled out with Stadia. As Sony doesn't really have a strong play in cloud. And it's not a big market for Microsoft either at this point. So the UK's kind of out in left field on this. Among other testimony at this hearing, it's really kind of fascinating. Phil Spencer was pressed to for a long time, Microsoft said, no, it's a 3-player game. There's Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo's Switch. A lot of people say the Switch is not a console. Microsoft would like it to be a console because if it is, then they're number 3 in the market. At some point, they got Spencer to agree that that Microsoft was losing the console wars, which is FTC's lawyer asked Spencer, has Microsoft lost the console wars? Spencer paused for 10 seconds, again from Tom Warren in The Verge, to gather his thoughts and said, I thought a very judicious statement. And The Verge decided to put it right next to his picture. As the console wars is a social construct with the community, I would never want to count our community out. They're big fans. If you look at our market share in the console space over the last 20 plus years, we're in third place. He didn't want to say we've lost, but he didn't want to say we've won.
That first sentence, that's a real quote?
Yeah. Get this. Okay. Can you imagine this? This is the quote from The Verge. As the console wars is a social construct with the community, I would never want to count our community out. They're big fans. That's corporate doublespeak if I ever heard.
He's just saying, I don't want to say we lost, but we're at third. And third is still making money. Like, I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, third is still a profitable place to be. It's just that, so it's not like because lost is that becomes the headline, across many things.
As much as he tried,
I think
it's still the headline at The Verge. Has Xbox really lost the console wars?
Well, but I think Microsoft, one of the things we have to look at is Microsoft has mentioned that what they're really interested in, or what they may be interested in, is the mobile market.
Mobile.
Of which Activision is actually a sizable player, and Microsoft is not a player at all. And so they're, I think Activision is like the sixth largest in sales, well behind Apple, Tencent, Alphabet, Sony, NetEase. I don't even know what NetEase does, but it's but Activision is sitting at number 6 or 7, and
NetEase is, I think, the Chinese competitor,
and Tencent being like 30% of the, a huge percent, or 17% of the market,
right?
Or maybe not, maybe 30% of the market.
Spencer was asked how the Activision deal could help Xbox consoles. This is the transcript. FTC: if the Microsoft is going to grow, particularly in a business like console, it can grow by taking share from its competitors. Spencer says there is no console growth in this deal. FTC.
Yeah, they're not. So the thing is that they're not. So the FTC is trying to say they're trying to take control of consoles, and Microsoft's not even interested in consoles.
No,
like they're like,
it's mobile.
That's what he's saying. He's like, we're interested in mobile, we're interested in cloud, we're interested in these other things. They're not even playing the console war anymore. Everybody has what they have, and they're gonna support it and keep on making money at it. But that's not why Microsoft bought Activision and Blizzard.
They acquired ZeniMax. Because Sony had done an exclusive deal for 2 big ZeniMax games, Deathloop and Ghostwire, and they were very concerned about Starfield, which is now, by the way, there's a lot of buzz about it. It's about to come out. When we heard, this is again Spencer, when we heard that Starfield was potentially also going to skip Xbox, we can't be in a position as a third-place console where we fall farther behind on content ownership. We bought ZeniMax to stay viable in the business. They thought about buying Zynga to get into mobile. Good thing they didn't. But they thought about it. I think this is one, I hope the judge, it's up to this administrative judge. I hope the judge is hearing this and says, yeah, no, Sony, no. This was just an anti-competitive measure. Even your own country, Japan, has approved the acquisition, let it go through. I don't have an opinion. I don't care whether Microsoft gets Activision or not, but just thought it's kind of, don't commit it to writing if you don't want it to show up in Discovery. I tell Lisa that all the time. No, I don't. All right. I think we can move on from the Federal Trade Commission. Prime Day is coming up, July 11th and 12th. How important is Prime Day to Amazon, Jason?
It's huge to the company's top line. Christmas in what month is it in this year?
July.
It keeps changing.
Yeah.
July again. Okay. They moved it to October during the pandemic at some point. Now there's another event in October. It's important. It's a revenue booster. I think this year might be the first year that third-party sellers who have the Buy with Prime button can now offer deals on their own site. That, I mean, this is an aside, but that little side battle between Amazon and Shopify, which
it's interesting. So somebody asked you, because you were talking about the competitive space, and like nobody's a winner forever. Walmart, nobody thought Walmart would beat, but they did get beat by Amazon. And so somebody asked you, I thought a good question, who's going to beat Amazon? And I was surprised to hear you say Shopify possibly.
Well, I look at the landscape, and for a couple of years, I thought maybe Instacart really moves aggressively outside of groceries, and they come at it from the last mile and then work backwards, and then we'll see. But Shopify's one, I think, in the software realm that has been interesting to me. Now, they thought they would become a logistics company as well, and they bought a robotics company and a warehousing company, and they just offloaded all that at a loss. So that didn't really work, but smart folks, and they have a lot of allies in the small and medium-sized, online retailing community. But that was just one, and TikTok was another one. As
TikTok this week launched their buy with TikTok. That's really interesting. In fact, we were at VidCon and that they were pushing that you could sell stuff on TikTok. Like you saw a video on TikTok. Alex, you said this for years. I remember you saying this 15 years ago. That it was just a matter of time before companies started making their own videos and embedding.
We were doing tests, R&D, to make it interactive, to see. We were doing R&D in, 2002, 2003, to basically, you're watching a video and you could click on multiple things theoretically and order any of them and have it be completely seamless. I think that the challenge right now is the seamless part. Is that you see something like that. I see a lot of things. I have to admit, I get a lot of ads on Twitter that are related to, hey, look at this cool thing. And a couple of them are pretty tempting. But
Lisa,
I'm like, I can't order it. No, but the thing is, here's the Amazon lock. I look at it and go, I'm not going to buy that if I can't buy it on Amazon. So a lot of times what I do is I look for that item on Amazon.
Me too. I do that
and then
too.
I buy it through Amazon, and it comes down to I don't want to give my credit card to somebody else, and I want to know I can return it.
Have you seen
the
ad
that's the challenge
on Twitter for that? Basically, it's a police baton that extends out, and they say it's great for camping.
At least once a day.
Yeah.
At least once a day.
Lisa wants to buy
those have
one.
been around for a long time.
She doesn't need that, but...
those have been around for, I don't know, since I was a kid.
It's a police baton. It's an extendable thing that you can beat people with.
Yeah, they have them. The police put them on their thing there on the back. Yeah. These ones I doubt are quite as robust, but they...
you could drive a truck on it. I know. I saw it on Twitter.
I don't know if that would really work with that one, but it would be interesting to see. They're highly effective. But what I would say though is that you go in and again, that's a great example of they figured out. What I will say is that the Twitter ones have figured out how to really just show you how a product works, which I think that is genius.
Yes.
So I watch a lot of them mostly to go, in 5 seconds, I understand what that product is. I understand what the solve is. I understand what it does. And it does it better than almost anything I've ever seen. So from an education research, like education,
these are TikTok videos basically on Twitter, right?
Super powerful. Yeah, they're super powerful. And everyone who does education should watch these ads because I look at them and I go, look at how the edits are perfect, to show how this works.
These are all, I think, Chinese companies.
I never buy any of them.
And I've started, somebody told me last week, I think Ashley Esquetha, I said, I don't want to see that ad for the airplane that you can't break ever again. Just block it.
Oh my gosh.
Just block it. But then you look at the name.
It comes out as another
This
name.
one is from Poxo of the Day. And I know that that's a made-up AI-generated name that if I block this one, I'm going to see the same damn ad again. Right?
See, and I enjoy them. I'm always like,
you're a weird
edit. Look at that edit. Look at how they did that.
TikTok absolutely had to do this to compete with Instagram and I guess Twitter. I mean, you guys are talking about Twitter ads like you enjoy them. I don't block them for fun.
I block them. Yes, I do.
I block. If they're not those video ads, I block them all. I watch the video ads because I think that they're interesting, but from a technical perspective. Everything else I just block.
Yeah, he's a unique.
Right.
Yeah.
But Instagram has been doing this for a while now, where you can buy directly on their platform.
Oh my God,
they work.
I'm wearing Instagram underwear. I've got I got it all. Everything. I am such a sucker. Except that Instagram's made a mistake. They've decided once I cross 65 that the only ads I'm going to see are for erectile dysfunction ads. So that's all I see now. Like every other ad is all I see.
I certainly hope that doesn't happen to me when that time comes.
I don't know what you're going to get. I don't know. You're probably going to get ads for adult diapers or something. It's very insulting. I have to say, it's extremely insulting. But
do you ever click the thing where you tell it that's not relevant to me?
Oh. See, I don't know about this. I don't know about this stuff.
Would that be?
Yeah.
I don't know. See, here's one.
Do that.
Every third thing on Instagram is an ad now. It used to be every 10th picture. Now it's every third picture.
I don't have Instagram on my phone, and I find it very cumbersome on the web, so I don't see a lot of ads on Instagram.
Benefits of testosterone.
I don't see Instagram.
Increased energy, improved focus, reduced fat, stronger drive. Oh, that's what I need. More testosterone.
I tell you, though, the existence of platforms like PayPal and Apple Pay countermand that Amazon lock-in problem.
I think that's the answer to the question that you were answering, Jason. Yeah, maybe Shopify, but maybe TikTok. I mean, it's smart of TikTok to do this, right, Denise? I mean, this is
they had to.
They call it Project S. They're experimenting with, but this is the twist, selling their own products. They want to become like Shein, right? They want to sell their own, and why not, right? UK users have begun to see, this is from Financial Times, a new shopping feature within the TikTok app called Trendy Beat. You can tell a Chinese person wrote that, right? A section offering items that have proven popular on videos, such as tools to extract earwax or brush pet hair off clothing.
Have you seen the pictures of Chinese influencers under a bridge on the side of the road?
Oh, isn't that wild?
Hundreds of them. This is a big business. When we think about like people doing these streams and selling things in China, it is at a whole level that is hard to imagine.
Completely normal shopping behavior, and TikTok's parent company. I think the app there that is essentially TikTok, the original, I think is selling something like 10 billion items in a year. And a lot of it, as you're saying, through live streaming commerce, right? And there's been a big bet that this is going to take off here eventually. Amazon's made trying their hand at it in different forms. And I keep hearing venture capitalists tell me it's going to happen here as well. But it's huge. I guess that's what's showing right now.
Although I will say that Amazon has largely been, I think Amazon Live has not been very successful.
No,
everybody I've talked to has said it's been kind of a dumpster fire for them.
It is. To me at least, Amazon's a buying platform, not a shopping platform. You're transacting. You're not.
That's a good distinction. Maybe that makes sense.
Maybe a lot of people browse, but I don't. I'm in and out, minus the deceptive patterns or trying to avoid the dark matter. I'm mixing up all my terms here, but that's fine.
I remember, Leo, you and I talked about this the last time I was on TWiT. I'm with Jason. I'm a in and out on Amazon mostly, and you said you're the opposite.
Well, when you go, okay, so Denise, when you walking down Abbot Kinney, will you go, which is the great, beautiful, cool shopping street in Santa Monica or Venice, right?
Venice.
You go down Abbot Kinney. Do you go into the stores and browse, or do you walk by and walk by and walk by?
Oh, I mean, physical shopping is very different for me than online shopping.
Yeah, you're a browser in that.
I'm a browser.
Why is that? Why do you do that? Lisa's kind of half and half. She'll duck into stores, look around, and see if there's anything that catches her eye, and then duck out. But why do you do that in physical space, but not on Amazon?
For fun and recreation, I guess.
Okay.
And you're out, we have a lot of beautiful shopping malls in Southern California.
I think Amazon's missing a bet because I think Amazon doesn't make it browse friendly, right?
They've tried for years and years, and then they figured, well, we can't do it online. So then they experimented with these 4-star stores. I don't know if you've ever been in one of them.
Yeah.
It's basically like kind of a bizarre gift store with, 4-star items from appliances to, I mean, like, I feel like there was like a blender and then some other gifts. And that was one of their physical store experiments.
The idea was
failed.
Their idea was that all of these are 4-star ratings, right? So they're closing them all, by the way. 68 of them.
I think they're done. Well, there's a mix that in the bookstores.
That was the bookstores too.
It felt really odd. Like there was one in Corte Madera. I think it might still be there or whatever. But you walked in and it was, I think they tried to create that Apple, like, hey, there's a bunch of space between all the objects, but it was kind of like this weird, like, I don't understand why I'm here. I tried. I was interested, but it did feel like it was like an odd selection of things that I don't know why I would buy.
Yeah, and they don't
they
don't go together either. I mean, it's like a hodge. It's more of a hodgepodge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gone now. But and maybe they don't. I mean, maybe they don't need to create a shopping experience that's, I don't know, what some would call inspiring or, the window shopping effect. There are, it's not Pinterest or,
I don't
have it.
I get the feeling they have teams almost in competition saying, all right, you guys are in charge of making us browsable. You're in, I kind of feel like that's how, maybe it's because I've read the Brad Stone books. I feel like that's how they figured out how to kind of incentivize internally people innovating with new ideas. I mean, I'm looking at the front page of Amazon right now. This is kind of their idea of what a browse. This is like a 4-star store, right? It's browsing. Pick up where you left off. Buy again. Keep shopping for it. Top deal. Prep for Prime Day. Deals on free. But this is based on what I've already purchased, which is one of the problems, which is I already own all that.
I love getting ads for the next 2 months on things that I already bought. Like, I'm just kind of like, okay, I already bought that. Like,
but that's an algorithm issue, right?
That's happened since like 1999. It still has never been solved.
Yeah,
exactly.
I probably shouldn't show this on the screen because then people are going to be able to figure out what's wrong with me, right? Buy again, pork rind.
I was waiting for something really embarrassing.
And then right after the pork rind crumbs, you're going to need high absorption magnesium to purge the pork rind crumbs. Don't look at what I buy. Does Walmart, let me go to Walmart. Does Walmart try to do this too? Walmart at least has a retail experience, a real presence there.
They do, although, we are Walmart shoppers in our home too, out in New Jersey, and as we already know, and Alex embarrassed me or poked fun at me for, Trader Joe's shoppers as well. But we are almost exclusively Walmart pickup in the parking lot shoppers.
I'm looking. Here's Walmart's homepage. This looks, similar in some ways to Amazon. They don't have the data about what I buy because I don't buy from them, so they don't.
Right.
They think I might want a pink bicycle with a basket.
I realize as you're showing these homepages, including the Amazon one, I almost never
go to the home page.
Never see it.
And on any other site like Walmart or anywhere else I might be shopping, I go straight to search.
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm looking for.
Or you do like Alex did and said, well, I see this thing on Twitter. How much can I get it for at Amazon? And
I do that all the time. Like if I'm interested in something that I see somewhere else, I come back to Amazon almost all the time. The only place I don't do that is bookstores of all places. So if I'm in a bookstore, I will buy the book there because I'm like, if I don't buy the book here, the bookstore won't be here when I get back.
That's exactly
someday.
Right. Yeah.
So that behavior will kill that bookstore. And so the one place that is like, which is I find the irony thick in the fact that Amazon started as a book thing, and it's the one thing. If I'm at a bookstore, I'm like, I'm going to buy this book from this reseller because I like the fact, like Denise was talking about, I like going into a great bookstore, like the best bookstore in California, as far as I'm concerned, is Builder's Bookstore in Berkeley. It's all design and architecture and everything else, and gardens and stuff like that. I love going in there because it's so well curated. And I think this is where companies have to figure out where they're going to be in that area.
Yeah.
I have a relation, I know the owner. I've seen him for the last 25 years. I buy one book when I come in. Like, I know I'm going to buy a book. and
I'm guessing that one book every 3 weeks is not keeping them afloat. I hate to tell you.
No, but a lot of us are. But the thing is that
that's right. No, I do the same thing. But I get frustrated because I go in and they don't have the book. They say, we can order it for you. We'll have it in 5 days. And I say, or I can order it and I'll have it tomorrow.
But the distinction is I don't know what I'm going to buy. When I go into that store to find something that I'm going into that. And this is what we got back to is with Amazon, I go and I'm looking for a book, right? With Builder's Bookstore, I am going to browse.
That's right.
I'm going to wander around and I'm going to find an interesting book that I never knew existed and I'm going to buy it. Like, and that's.
Are you also taking recommendations from someone working there, or are you usually just browsing on your own? So that's another piece of it.
It's not a very big bookstore. It's like the size of my living room. Like it's a very small bookstore, and it just has all the perfect things. And so that I could buy every book.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible. If you're a designer, it's an incredible bookstore. Yeah. There's a whole section on topography. Like just like so like there's like book after book after book.
I won't be shopping there, but okay, good.
But what I would say is that there's what's interesting about that is that I think that's where companies who are trying to be successful have to figure out how can I have a niche that I just own. Not how do I have every book out there. That's not like tattered cover in Denver is not. I got to show you.
I got to take a break, but I got to show you this, Jason, because I'm on the Walmart page, and I'm kind of one of those nerds that goes to the bottom of the page, and there's this thing hashtag IYWYK, and I go, I wonder what that is. It turns out that's their social feed. It says shop our social feed. Do you see anything on the social feed? No. No, I don't. Apparently nobody's using hashtag IYWYK.
Ooh, that's sad.
Which I'm guessing is if you Walmart, you'll know. I'm guessing. I don't know.
If you want, that did not come up in my book research. And maybe that's why.
Here's one more great feature: Walmart's social feed, which is absolutely empty. Eek. All right, let me take a little break, and I love this panel, and we're so way behind now. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm having too much fun with Denise Howell. So wonderful to see you as always. Look for her new podcast at hearsayculture.com. She's my internet lawyer. I just want to say, every time I do something, Denise goes, I opened our Mastodon instance. She said, well, you should know. Thank you, Denise. If it weren't for you, I'd probably do a lot of stupid things. Also, Alex Lindsay from MacBreak Weekly. Always a pleasure. Office hours is an amazing achievement. I'm trying to be more like you. In fact, I've gone to the team and I've said, if we were going to start TWiT today, how do we do it differently? Because really, we've done it kind of old school, right? That was 2005, like a little mini internet radio or TV station. If we were going to start it today, how would we do it? And inevitably, the answer is officehours.global. That's how you do it.
Well, I have a huge Q&A engine you're welcome to have.
I mean, it's just the whole operation. Really mind-boggling.
Really powerful.
Yeah. Well, what you've done. Incredible. Well, and as always, it's community, isn't it? That's what makes a difference.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Jason Del Rey, so great to have you. His new book, which came out like a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah, I want to say you're getting the sharpest Jason Del Rey you could, but that would be a lie because it came out on Tuesday and I've just been in.
Oh, can imagine. How many interviews? How many?
I've, well, for the last 3 weeks combined, I'm probably up to about 30 to 35, something like that.
But see, that's great.
And this is number one.
Yes, of course, as all of them are. This is he's the author of the new HarperCollins book, Winner Sells All. Jason, for years, I did a radio show in San Francisco on KNBR where I would interview all the authors on tour. And because we were on the West Coast, it was always the end of a 30-city tour. Let me tell you, I know sharp authors. They'd come in. And of course, as you might know, I don't know, they don't think they do this anymore. The HarperCollins would put a piece of paper in the book with the questions you should ask.
My publicist may have put together a sheet of
I'm sure they did, because most interviewers, questions. If you're in Good Morning Milwaukee, they're not going to read the book. They don't know what you're talking about. So they're going to ask the 10 questions, which means you get the same question over and over and over and over and over and over and over. At least you don't have to travel anymore, which is probably a good thing. This is a book you should read. In fact, the best thing you did is the excerpt in Fortune really makes you want to read the book. It's like, oh, I gotta get more. That's really cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Winner sells all. It's really about Walmart and Amazon. But there's stuff in here about Walmart I had no idea. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating. Our show today brought to you by AG1 by Athletic Greens. This is a tradition. Whenever I have the Athletic Greens ad, I don't eat my Athletic Greens in the morning. I have my Athletic Greens in the afternoon. Athletic Greens is awesome. Like many of you, I'm sure, I wanted to support my health. I was taking literally a fistful of pills every morning. I am late to the game. Everybody's heard of AG1. I think it was founded in 2010. When I started asking around, people said, oh, yeah. Aunt Pruitt said, what are you talking about? I've been using that for years. It's been a part of millions of routines since 2010. It's the best all-in-one solution for daily nutrition. It saves you time, confusion, and money. I love my AG1. AG1 makes it easier for you to take the highest quality supplements, whether it's improving your digestion, supporting your sleep. AG1, the best bang for your buck. It's a seamless daily habit. Just one scoop of AG1 in the morning covers your day's entire nutritional basis. You get all your supplements. You support your long-term gut health with AG1's 75 high-quality minerals, vitamins, pre- and probiotics. And it tastes really good. If you're looking for a simpler, cost-effective supplement routine, AG1 from Athletic Greens, they're going to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. I love these. These travel packs are great. We went to Disneyland. I just packed a couple of these in my suitcase instead of a whole pill miner and stuff. There you go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 days supply right there, just like that. So you get 5 free travel packs with your purchase of a subscription. Go to athleticgreens.com/twit. athleticgreens.com/twit. Check it out. This stuff's great. Love it. All right, let's move right along with our program. Thank you, Athletic Greens. Will TikTok be, I think, Alex, this is what you were talking about all those years ago with videos that have products in them, right? That you watch the video for the entertainment, but then you say, but I want that tent.
It's some of it. I mean, I think that what we were really, doing on our end was to build clickable items within a movie so that if you're watching a movie and you see something, you would get into the habit of, I can just push a button down and I can select Brad Pitt shirt. So yeah. Like what is that shirt?
It's content first, but then there's an opportunity to buy.
Well, and the idea is it's totally passive. It doesn't run into you. It just is, you just get to a point where you know it. And I think that Amazon is actually really close to this working. So they have X-Ray inside of Amazon Prime where you can see all the actors. What they haven't added there is it'll show you all the actors in the scene. Well, it wouldn't take very much for them to add all the items in the scene. So these are all the relevant items on Amazon.
X-Ray. Maybe that's the whole purpose.
That might be what they're kind of getting towards, is figuring that model out. And it wouldn't take them it's a little bit of work.
Interesting. Yeah.
But when you talk about product placement gets really competitive when the idea is do I have a product that's in there? But not only that, I want it to make sure that it's in Amazon so that you can select it. You can just hit. And what will happen is the idea is that it leaves it as a passive experience. Someone doesn't have to do anything. And if it was successful enough, you'd end up with a situation where I never have to run ads because there's enough sales, there's enough CTR to, there's a high enough CTR to make that work, click through rate where you have all these hot items, and you sell 1,000 shirts because Brad Pitt was wearing it, that's what we started working on 20 years ago, and no one's done it yet.
Or
partially because Apple gutted out the QuickTime.
In the case of Chris Evans' sweater in Knives Out,
exactly,
they could have sold a lot of these. Right?
Yeah, they would have sold millions. They would have made more money on that sweater than the movie.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
or lots of sweaters like it, depending on how
that's the problem.
It's
an Aaron sweater, and you can get them from a lot of different places, I guess. But
there are at least 2 HBO shows where I can't fathom why they're not already doing this. Succession is one.
Yes.
Because people are fascinated by the wardrobe in that show.
Until you find out how much each item costs.
That was what I was going to say. The $600 baseball cap is more of sort of a novelty item than something that everyone's going to go out to buy.
And let me guess what the other one is. Is it And Just Like That?
Well, that and Sex and the City, the whole franchise.
Yeah,
I mean, you have if you looked on the socials, there are so many accounts that exist only to tell you exactly what all the characters are wearing. And the whole costume department of And Just Like That has its own Instagram account.
And by the way, Carrie has her own store in New York City, which I'm dying to go to. Did you know that?
That would be Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes. Yes. Why does Sarah Jessica Parker, who probably has more money than God, for some reason has decided to open a retail outlet selling shoes? She's been selling shoes for a while. She thinks she's a good shoe designer. And, she does design shoes much like the ones her characters wear. SJP.
On TV.
New arrivals for the color lover. Shop now. So how long before Amazon buys this? Maybe that's her plan, right?
I don't know. I mean, I think she's doing fine. I have not looked at the revenues, etc.
But
I will tell you, there would have been a day a couple years ago when Mark Laurie was still at Walmart that they were on this. They thought they were going to buy all these up and coming brands and different type of customer coming into Walmart, and he would have been a prime. I'm sure he would have went and talked to her about buying that thing. I don't think she needs this.
I think she does it for fun. I just read a profile of her. I can't remember where it was, in New York or somewhere, where they talk about going in, and she loves selling shoes to people who come in. And of course the people are going, wait a minute, Carrie Bradshaw is selling me the shoes. Okay, I'll take 5. Thank you very much. It apparently is but I don't think she does it. I can't imagine she does it for money. That is that's a wild story. So
they're not cheap.
No,
so if she's selling at volume at all, she's
doing it for the money.
Yeah.
She's not under a bridge with a ring light doing videos for her. So what's the story, Alex? You brought this up before the break.
Yeah. So the story is that I'm not sure which platform, but basically it is the sorting of where the stream sorts into that community. So in China, so it's regional. It's a regional stream. And so what they're doing is they want to be in the region where there's a lot of potential buyers. So they may not live there, but they need to be somewhere where they can stream with their phone. The way that the algorithm works is that it's trying to only show them in that region. So they go to the regions and they're like under they're somewhere under the highway, but in the region that they need to be in so that they can reach the buyers for that specific.
So they're trying to game the
they're gaming the system. Yeah. Yeah. Or they're attempting to. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's amazing.
But the scale is kind of unbelievable in China.
There must be 100.
That's why everyone's interested. They can't figure out how to do it in the United States.
Yep.
And it may have to do, I think, with the quality of the retail outlets in China are not as, they're just not the same level. It's harder to find the things that you need necessarily of that are specific verticals. And so because of that, there's more friction in being able to get them, that the online streaming might make more sense. But as a live streamer, we watch live streaming in China all the time. Like we watch the trends because everyone's trying to figure out how to crack that, because that's like a very big golden egg. Everyone's sitting there looking at it. What's
interesting
it doesn't exist here.
Is how misinterpreted this was. Some people said, "Oh, they're homeless. They have to do that under a bridge because they don't." No, it's because, as you said, they're gaming the algorithm. They're in Kaifeng in the Henan province.
And some of them are making a lot of money. Like, this is where they start, and then they end up with their own little studio somewhere, and then they make up. I mean, some of these influencers are, they're making influencer money.
Well, the other reason we were down your way, Denise, is that VidCon was being held at the Anaheim Convention Center. And that is a fascinating place to go. Originally started by the Greens. It was acquired by Viacom, which tells you something. The key sponsor has been almost every year YouTube. Last year it was TikTok. It was YouTube again this year. And it's not, you don't see Mr. Beast there anymore, right? You don't see the established YouTubers. You see the up and coming, the hungry streamers there. But there are long lines. You go into the conference, there's a whole bunch of conferences, seminars going on. But on the main conference floor, there's 2 large stage areas, 500 people. And they're going on at the same time. 2 different presentations. One was some Ghost Hunters YouTube video. I don't remember what the other was. The audience is filled with screaming fans. And I was watching the Ghost Hunters one. They said, well, we got our video. We're going to put it up in a couple of days. You want to see it now? And the fans are, ah! But what's really clear is that these are all very narrow niches that have this very strong fan base. And there's probably hundreds of them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The long tail lives.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're the long tail, right? I mean, we don't, when we started, there was nobody hardly doing podcasting. So it was easy to get a big audience. Now there's a lot more shows. And, we still have a large audience relative to 90% of the other podcasts out there, but it's definitely sliced up more. But if you want a podcast about tech news, there's only a handful. So we're in that niche. It's just, to me, it's fascinating. And it's, I imagine it's the future. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I probably well over half of my viewing is now YouTube. like it's not even YouTube TV. I mean, it's
everybody there is under 25, but everybody under 25, they're watching YouTube, right? Your 10-year-old, Jason is not watching network television.
When my daughter learns, she's learning guitar and bass and stuff like that. She doesn't take lessons. She literally just goes, I'm sure that song's on YouTube. And there's somebody doing, it's not that the song is on YouTube. There is almost any song you can imagine. There is somebody that will show you how to play it on the guitar, and sit there and has, listeners that are viewers, enough viewers that's probably their only business.
Right. TikTok too. Very useful in that way. The VidCon show, which I think would be really interesting to go to one year, but I haven't been. It sounds almost more like Comic-Con, where it's not an industry event, but fans come.
Yeah, it's both.
VidCon is, there's another one. There is a creator track there. I've spoken to the creator track.
There's a creator track and an industry track. So you go upstairs and there's real serious business going on. But on the ground floor, they got cosplayers just like you would at a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You have fans. You have screaming teenagers.
Go ahead.
Can I fondly reminisce for 1 second about the fact that the first time I ever met Alex Lindsay in person, maybe the first time that I met you in person, Leo, was at the Podcast and New Media Expo in Ontario, California in 2007.
Yeah.
There was nobody screaming at that. I can tell you right now. No screaming teenagers.
Wasn't that the beginning of the Heil mics? I think that was the
it is. I won Podcast of the Year award or whatever, and the prize was this microphone.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it and used it ever since.
Alex, you had a Zune.
Oh,
you were showing off your Zune.
I had a Zune. I did. I had a Zune. I was excited that I had the new thing, and
you did.
I never used it. I tried, but I never really.
That's where I met Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, and he interviewed me on a Nokia camera called I think it was the P90. It was a video. It was a smartphone that looked like a camcorder.
Yeah,
and it was like, wow, very modern.
I remember we went to a party and there was Kent Nichols from Ask a Ninja.
Oh, Ask a Ninja,
I met Kent and in the airport I met Dr. Kiki, Kiki Sanford, and so it was that was a moment. That 2007. That one.
Here's the lesson. Nobody's ever heard of anybody. Ask a Ninja, which was number one, right? I mean, I know Kent. Yeah. He's done very well as a consultant since. But that's what happens, right?
I wonder how Brother Love has done.
Exactly. Right. I mean,
I'm doing a lot of Googling right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Brian Abbott is still doing Coverville, right? So there are a lot of podcasts that are still around. We're still around.
Zay Frank was like a
Zay Frank
rock star at that.
Zay Frank.
He invented the blinkless video, right? Yeah, he's done very well. He went on to do what was it? Taste. He did a cooking thing. He invented the top-down recipe video, which nobody, you don't get royalties for, but you get the claim to fame anyway.
His short on procrastination is like one of the best videos ever made. Like it's just so good.
Oh God, we feel like old timers here, nostalgically. Remember
interviewing the guys who made 405 the movie.
Oh,
about how they put that. Remember 405? You see it now. We're really showing our age. 405 the movie was like one of the first.
Now Jason and I are both Googling this one. All right.
Yeah, 405 the movie was like the 2001, 2002, I think.
The first viral video of the internet age.
It really was. It was. It's really great. A lot of us were like, "Oh, this is really." Here we go.
And now you can watch it if you go to 405themovie.com. Is it the 405? Is it the highway in LA?
It's about the 405. Yeah, it's about the 405. It's only a couple minutes long. It's this
is it, kids.
It's the fact that they shot it like out in their backyard. Like it was that's the part that was great.
Jason, if you told your 10-year-old that the first viral video was video of people going down the 405,
you know what? He'd get a I think he'd get a kick out of it.
You just have to watch it. See, there's an airliner.
Oh, is it going to land on the 405? You can tell it's CGI'd though, right? It looks too good compared to the rest of the video. Uh-oh.
This is 25 years ago.
It feels like 75 years ago. It really does. It's a couple of decades ago. But this was when, in 2000, how did you stream video? It was
just on somebody's website, and
did you have to do it in Real Player?
No, I think it was on you could upload a QuickTime. So it was just like a QuickTime. You just run into it.
Wow. Actually, this is quite good. Show this to your 10-year-old and say, this is the jazz singer. This is Al Jolson's the jazz singer for the internet age. This is when talkies started. It's an amazing thing. Oh my God, this actually is quite good. It says 5 years before YouTube, 405 amassed hundreds of millions of views.
Well, it was before YouTube, but there was lots of little I did some silly video about how the new iPhone was going to be video is going to be big. It was the second iPhone or the new iPhone that had video, and I built a rig for it that afternoon when I bought it, and I did a little video about it. Like, this is going to be we're going to be shooting videos and movies and all kinds of stuff on our iPhone, and this was 2008 or something like that, and it got 2 million views, which is why I had to pay a lot for the server because Wired picked it up. And it was one of those things that, but back then, that's when you learn, that's why YouTube was so powerful, is that if someone picked it up, you didn't have to write a check. So
the number one video today on YouTube, 12 billion views. That's more than there are people on the planet.
I think that's impressive, but what I really think is impressive, if we watch someone like Mr. Beast, where it's not that he has one big movie, it's that everything he puts out gets 30 million or more views, is kind of a thing. That is he has a model that actually works over and over and over again.
It's interesting, but it's so you talk about Succession, which is great writing, great dramaturgy, great acting, direction, everything. So much energy and thought goes into even the smallest prop, and you create a masterpiece. But the number of views of Succession is infinitesimal compared to Mr. Beast, getting 1,000 deaf people to hear for the first time, 89 million views, or ages 1 to 100 fight for $500,000, 143
cool video.
million views.
Watch that video.
More people saw that, 10 times more people saw that than saw Succession. But I don't know if I want media to become Mr. Beast. Why would you make Succession if you said, well, why am I working for peanuts here? I paid a real assassin to try to kill me. 157 million views.
Well, and again, if Succession's making money, then that's great. I think that the challenge really is can we keep on making as much narrative? Will the market support as much narrative as coming out? A Succession is not the problem. It's for all the little things below that it's unclear whether those become viable.
Yeah. I was reading the review of the new Indiana Jones movie. I think it was in the New Yorker, and he quoted Pauline Kael's review of the original Indiana Jones, which was, when, 1981, something like that. It's called Whipped, which is, by the way, the SEO on this title is god-awful. God-awful. And yet, it is a brilliant title for a review of a movie about Indiana Jones, right? But in it, she says something that I think is very interesting. I've already told you this, Alex, on MacBreak Weekly, but I'm going to mention it again. This is the lead. The marketing executives are the new high priests of the movie business. Her thesis is you can't make a movie. This is 1981. If you don't go first to the marketing people, say, can you market this? And if they say no, you don't make it. So she says, right now, the easier a project looks to market, the easier it is to finance, which means, and this is in 1981, all you're going to see is horror movies and fantasy films. And it's the end, she says, for prestige pictures, that offer middle-class group therapy like Ordinary People in the Four Seasons. Do you remember the Four Seasons? No, you don't. With Alan Alda? No, you don't. But do you remember Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? Absolutely.
But I would argue, though, I mean, this is a little bit of Hollywood arrogance for today, because they all talk about this. And the fact that streaming now has created a huge market for things that would traditionally fail at the movie theater, and we can actually watch it, and because it doesn't have to make money directly. So there's a downside to not making money directly, which is that this is why the writers are on strike, is because they want to get paid for how many views and how many people watch it and everything else. But the upside is that it's a distributed risk across the media production pipeline. So the streamers are not losing, unless they mess up on everything. As long as Disney keeps on putting out something like Mandalorian every 8 weeks, all the other stuff that they're experimenting with is all kind of like just kind of filling those things in and making sure you have something new to watch. We're seeing more behind the scenes. I love behind the scenes. We're seeing more behind the scenes now than we've ever seen before, because Disney has decided that that's a product. And so they're putting up that because that just adds to the value of your membership, and so now we get all these behind the scenes.
Yeah, but what we get is what Disney decides it can make money on. Right? We had behind the scenes with DVDs. They had to fill space on the DVD. Yeah, but I just don't know if. Well, I guess you're right. I mean, it has to pay for itself. I understand that, but I just worry that you're only going to get blockbusters. That everything's going to be a Marvel MCU movie.
I don't think that's. I mean, I think that again for feature films, you're 100% right. The problem is that so features are the business
because they're so expensive to make.
The theater business is in all kinds of trouble. It's like deadly. The house is on fire. Yeah. And it's because they've kind of the only thing they have left is action films, and people are getting tired of those. Like if you look at what happened to Flash, like people aren't automatically going to one of the the MCU or whatever. They're not doing that automatically anymore because and not DC Comics or DC Universe, but they're not automatically going to these things because they're worn out. They're worn out of these effects heavy films. Whether they say they're effects or not, there's a lot of effects in all these films, and they're getting worn out of these high pressure films. And so they're going to the movies, it did well after COVID because everyone missed it, but it's not going to keep going that way, and so that, because it's a mono supply, there's not any, all the other stuff is going to streaming. Like that's where you put things now. If it's got heartstrings, you put it in streaming,
and of course
you still get a budget for it.
The reason I'm very aware of this is because this week I was at VidCon and Disneyland, which are opposite, right? VidCon's long tail, niche. Disney's interested in how many toys can we make based on this property? How many rides can we make? And you go to Disney and it's I mean, the kid made a $250 lightsaber. $250.
Well, but I think on the other side of that, like the interest, like for instance, I love this show called Chef's Table. Like it's just an incredible.
Yes, I've watched it because of you. Yeah, that's on Netflix.
And It's a great show. It would never be made for TV. Like that would never have an audience, on TV. Yeah. Netflix, it makes sense for them to do it. But also when you go to YouTube and you look at Veritasium or Tom Scott or Rick Beato or these are all verticals that don't exist in the real, they don't exist in the broadcast world that bring a lot of value, Mark Rober.
So are you saying that both exist and both should continue to exist, and this is because of it a vital and growing market?
I think it's going to get harder and harder for Hollywood to make films that make a difference. I think that I
just don't want to see all Mr. Beast all the time.
No, I don't think that's what you're going to see on YouTube, because most people I talk to, he has all those followers. Most people I talk to in the real world don't know who he is.
I know, it's amazing.
That's how you got to get he has all these viewers and all this backing, and most people don't even know that he's around. And so the thing is if I talk to my parents about it, they're like, "Who's Mr. Beast?" And so, but that's how vast that group is. Now, what I will say is that it's going to get harder and harder, because I think that we're about to go into hyperinflation when it comes to content. Content is going to become less and less valuable on its own. The community is more important than the content at this point. And which is, it's a commodity that is now, the ability to produce it is going to, with AI, with all the tools becoming easy, with everybody making podcasts like us. There's the value of it is going to be very challenging. And, that's going to be the biggest problem for Hollywood is how do you keep rationalizing the big cost for really expensive productions.
Hi, this is Benito, by the way.
Benito, our technical director. Hello, Benito.
I just wanted to mention A24, the production company. This is one of the bright spots in this here that's making those original kinds of films.
I love I know it's a good brand. That really is. Great. Yeah. And they're completely independent.
They've done well.
Right?
Like if I see something that I think remotely looks like it's going to be good, and it's Kino Lorber or A24, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah. If I think it might be good from the trailer and I see those brands, I go, oh, this is gonna be really interesting, and I'll take a chance on it.
So that's a company that I think is doing the right thing in terms of how to market and create truly original content.
It's funny that their latest movie is Never Coming to a Theater Near You is the name of their latest movie.
Yeah. Interesting.
But are they profitable? Are they a model for success? Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Bought them.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, best picture of the year.
Yeah. I have noticed that my YouTube feed, what it suggests that I watch, has altered a bit. I guess my long tail interests are substantial enough that it has enough to feed me without trying to make me a terrorist. So I never see videos that I think are problematic in any way, really, in my YouTube feed.
It's very hopeful, really, that we're all going to get served, right? And that there is money to be made, maybe not as much. So I think of the music industry as a good example, because in the music industry, the multi-platinum acts made the most money. And those guys got infinitely rich, and there was really no long tail. It was like those guys are nothing. And now there are many artists who can make a good living. It's harder to become a multi-platinum artist. There are fewer of those because the labels aren't as powerful. You don't have radio. But there are a lot of people who can make a good living. Is it going to be kind of like that, Denise, that 1,000 flowers will bloom?
I guess that's what I was getting at, is that I've noticed there's a definite high quality degree of content I've never heard of that shows up in my YouTube feed that I go, I watched that and I learned something. So, I have hope about that. You're talking more, I think, sort of music and narrative, which is harder and requires writing and creativity. So, I can only hope that also pans out there. I wanted to ask you all, since we're talking about Mr. Beast and we've referenced him a few times, any of you ever watch an Emma Chamberlain video?
No. What is it?
You don't know who Emma Chamberlain is?
How much money does he give away?
Emma, she's a she.
How much money does she give away?
She's just an incredibly successful YouTuber. And
is she a makeup YouTuber? What is she?
No. She's the opposite of that. She
does style.
She's 21
and beauty.
years old.
Yeah.
No, not really. No, you're putting her in a niche she doesn't belong in. She started out she literally dropped out of high school at age 16 to do her videos, which were much more, first of all, she's a talented videographer and editor, and her editing style is responsible for a lot of what you see on YouTube now, because she's been emulated so many times. Yeah, you should look into her. She's 21 years old.
Well, my son follows her. So,
very relatable, very
16 million followers on Insta. So that's good.
She's a force. And I raise her because, again, like, people haven't heard of Mr. Beast. I think you'd find a lot more people who have heard of Emma Chamberlain, like out in the non-tech lay people of the world.
And I think that that's the thing that's amazing is that you have people that have a really large following and they're making a good living doing what they're doing. And there's a whole lot of people that don't know who. Don't know
look at this. 3.9 million views 1 month ago. 3.1 million views. 3.7 million views. Yeah, no kidding. 5.9 million views. She doesn't have a single video that's below 1 million. They're all in the 3, 4, and 5 million. Some are even higher.
And I think that one of the things that's incredible when you get to know some of these YouTubers is just the level of work that they do. And they, Marquez Brownlee talked about it at one point where someone asked, how to be successful. He's like, we got to do 100 videos, right? From scratch, and know that they're all going to fail, and then they'll start to pick up. And many of these folks started when they were young. They had the extra time. They weren't trying to make money, and they didn't give up quickly. They just went, well, I'm just going to keep just making videos.
Is it a problem though that you have to exist on platforms that you don't control, like YouTube and TikTok?
I think it's somewhat of a problem. I mean, the hard part for them is that they don't. It's very hard to it's very hard to move your audience from one platform to another. Yeah. So if you decide, those platforms spend a lot of, like, if I post a YouTube link in Twitter, I know that I'm going to be penalized for the next week. Like, my Twitter, the number of people who see my Twitter in the For You page is going to drop.
They don't want you to move
by like 90%.
Off.
You just get really penalized by it. And so, so I think that, sending people off the system is very, complicated there. And that happens in Facebook, that happens and the problem is, like, Facebook is one of the worst because you get a huge following and now you have to pay to even get a hold of the people that followed you. And, like, that is just, I mean, and they have you locked in. There's no way to get a hold of them. There's no, and you can't even get to them all anymore. So it's a really dark hole for creators that are on Facebook and Instagram, I think. But Twitter's a little bit more fluid, and I think YouTube is probably the best for them because it doesn't make an attempt to contact most of their followers when they put out another video. But it's still, that is a problem where they don't have a solid. I don't think that they actually need everybody's email. They don't think they want it with GDPR. I don't think that I think they want it, but managing that is going to be really complicated. So you want someone to hold on to that without you having access to it. But what you do want to do is say, I want to email everybody and know that it will go to everybody, and everyone will know. And I think that's something that's missing right now.
It's a very interesting world we live in. And I feel like Pauline Kael in 1981 kind of foresaw what was going to happen in movies. I wonder what we say today in 2023 about what is going to happen with the media landscape, because it's changing so rapidly, so dramatically.
Well, who would have ever thought that YouTube was going to be the place that you went for your NFL games?
Right.
Google
thought that
like in 2004 or 2007 or whatever.
Spent quite a lot of money to make sure that happened.
Well, and that's been all the work that's been done by the YouTube team to get that off the ground. I mean, that is no minor thing to put that many streams out.
YouTube TV.
And YouTube TV did not work when it came out. Like, they put football games up and you're like, ooh, that's not going to work. And, it was painful because I've been a subscriber almost since day one. And so the early days of YouTube TV, you could never watch NFL games on because it'd break up. It was low res.
We've come a long way.
They have really come a long way. Yeah.
Have we closed the digital divide enough such that YouTube TV is going to reach all of the NFL's audience in an effective way?
Isn't that interesting?
It doesn't affect the broadcast. It doesn't affect the broadcast. So
I was wondering, so Thursday Night Football moved to Amazon.
You don't get
last.
You won't get that on
year.
YouTube, I don't think,
and you don't get it anywhere, right? I don't know what's going to happen with the Sunday Ticket, but Thursday, because that's just Sunday. But Thursday, Amazon owned, and I was really wondering, maybe you know something about this, Jason, because it looked like the NFL was giving up a lot, going from broadcast TV to streaming. But my sense was it was actually a great success.
It's just the NFL doesn't get money from those advertising. They get money from someone who says, I want the rights to that. So the NFL sells rights. And so I'm sure that they made just as much money or more money, probably a lot more, for Thursday night to be only on Amazon.
Yeah, and a lot of the ads were Amazon properties, weren't they?
And the Thursday night games typically
were crap.
But yes, yeah,
but they spent money. They got Al Michaels to, and Kirk Herbstreit to do it, right? So they spent a lot of money on the best talent. You don't think Al Michaels is any good? Come on, now don't get in a fight.
He's good. He's great. I'm saying they gave him the money to do it. Al Michaels is incredible at it. I just wish they would have pulled Chris Collinsworth with them.
I'm not a big fan of Chris Collinsworth, but that's only because he doesn't like the 49ers, and he's always saying bad things. Was this a success for Amazon? They're doing it again this year, right? Was it success for them?
I'm trying to remember how many years the deal was. Maybe you remember out.
Well, I think this was last year was the first year or the second. Yeah. I think last year was the first year that they had exclusive rights to it, and they pulled the team that does Thursday Night Football, I think, is the old Monday Night Football team. So they really pulled. So they brought, not only do they bring a great announcer, they brought the production team that's going to make it actually work. Or maybe it's the Sunday Night Football game. I think it's actually the Sunday Night Football team came to the Thursday Night Football team. To the production team. Kind of took it over. So because the Monday Night Football has not really been a thing. ESPN kind of. Like a little ESPN toy at this point. But the Sunday Night Football has been the big one. Like that's been the state of the art. This is as good as live video gets. A lot of us watch that as the ultimate live experience.
Amazon has exclusive rights through 2033. They bought 10 years.
Well, and that's that's kind of how those deals happen. They don't want to keep on negotiating them. So they're like 5 or 10 years is kind of the standard fare. But what it does allow them to do by not doing any broadcast, it doesn't limit them to broadcast. And what I mean by that is the broadcast pipeline, someone who does this a lot, the broadcast pipeline is so limited, by, the frame rates, the resolutions, all the production is really, really limited when you go into broadcast, just because they don't have the money to upgrade as fast as you can do bits. And so you can make the bits better all the time. And so we're seeing, if you have a 4K TV with, the stuff, you're going to keep on seeing it get better and better and better off of your, device, your Apple TV or whatever you're going to watch it on is going to keep on getting better, because they can evolve only the truck. They don't have to they don't have to improve the entire pipeline to get to your TV. And that gives them a huge advantage. And that's why Apple, like MLS, is going to make a ton of sense for Apple as the headset comes in, is because they're going to be able to integrate it and they don't have to argue with any broadcasters of, we need to have 1080i.
But MLS was a much weaker league than NFL. NFL has a lot.
But Amazon only got one. Yeah, but Amazon only got one night. Apple got all the
nights.
all the nights. So that's and as
here's
an innovation
some numbers.
Platform, it's really
here's some numbers. 2022 season, 46% drop in viewership. But Amazon was of the opinion that was because they were crappy games. So they demanded better games. Starting this year, teams are not required to have a Thursday game following a Sunday, while teams can play up to 2 Thursday games following a Sunday game per season. In other words, they got more flexible, and they probably lobbied the NFL for a better schedule.
So bad.
Amazon also raised, according to rumors anyway, advertising rates 20% higher than previous, but CBS was the previous, and Fox was the previous broadcaster. But Amazon will not allow advertising that encourages, glamorizes, or depicts excessive consumption of alcohol. So there's no beer ads.
Well, excessive amount of alcohol.
No, there's no beer ads. I noticed. There's no Clydesdales marching through Thursday Night Football.
Right.
The league can apparently sell some slots, so maybe the league will, and local broadcasters too. So it's interesting. I mean, I obviously this is what the other landscapes that's changed. Previously, broadcasters who were bidding for things like this, expensive things like this, had to make it make sense financially. Amazon, it's a little more fungible.
Well, this is
more flexible, right?
Both Amazon and Apple have the advantage, and to some degree, YouTube have the advantage of what I would call the Kaiser Sose model, which is that they can make money, and you always get paid more than the job is worth, and they can they can do a bunch of things that are that they can make money in so many different ways with the same product, or even just the association with the product, or just there's so many places for them to carve it up.
And all I saw
very hard for the other media companies.
Promotions for the Rings of Power and Amazon Prime Day, and I'm sure that's what we'll see again this season.
Have you seen how many ads are on Amazon today? $40 billion worth.
They're an ad. This is something I think a lot of people don't realize. I didn't realize it until I read your book. Amazon is an ad business as much as anything else.
I mean, increasingly so. And Walmart, for better or worse, looks at that and says, we can be an ad business too.
Yeah.
And went ahead and actually hired a longtime former Amazon ad leader who between stops went to Instacart and ran revenue there, and now is running their loyalty program, Walmart Plus, and the ad business. And I mean, the question is at least on the product search, on the shopping side of Amazon, is it, they'll make an argument it somehow helps small brands be noticed and can improve the experience. But to some sellers, it just seems like an extra tax, another Amazon tax, because they can. But yes, they are an ad business. They're a tremendous ad business, and increasingly so in video too.
And of course, Cory Doctorow wrote about this in his world famous shitification article. That this is when Amazon starts to screw everybody in order to increase profits. When you read that, did that ring a bell for you, Jason, or did you feel like that was an inaccurate representation of Amazon's strategy?
Listen, I think this feels like an inflection point at the company, or at least has. Yes, you have the Jassy transition, you have the layoffs, you have the cost cutting and previous investment areas like Alexa. I think it's unclear to me how far they'll go down this path. But I was talking about this recently with a former Amazon executive, and he was he was saying most people go to that site, they're in and out, and the experience actually for a lot of people is they're still finding exactly what they want because they're not browsing, they're going in and out. But yeah, you look at that site today and it's not pleasant, right? And so I think there's an argument to be made that there's some stuff they're doing, including the ad business, because they can. And we'll see. I'm very interested to see what the next year under Andy Jassy is like, because he's gone through this cost cutting exercise over the past year, and now he has a chance to show what Amazon under Andy Jassy looks like, and beyond cost cutting, if he doesn't want to just be remembered for that.
How much? When Tim Cook took over at Apple, practically Steve Jobs' dying breath is, "Don't ask what I would do what you would do." How much of that happened? Did Andy Jassy? Did Jeff Bezos say to Andy Jassy? Not with his dying breath, obviously, because he's fitter than ever, obviously.
Yeah, it's very interesting because there was an article in the Wall Street Journal maybe 6 or 9 months ago about Jassy cutting costs and really examining overspending and lack of discipline. And there was an Amazon board member quoted in the piece, saying like, "This is, we're behind Andy," and it just felt very
stage managed.
Yeah. Yes, and that perhaps the easy man to blame, with the undisciplined spending and the overexpansion of the warehouse network, was the CEO is no longer in charge. And it doesn't seem like something like that could make Bezos unhappy these days when he's off on a $500 million yacht and doing all the other things he's doing in his life. So I think Jassy had, he came in and some executives left because he went into the weeds on businesses where Bezos had long just let these lieutenants do what they want. Yeah. And so I do believe he is not, he's not a puppet. This is his company now. And so we'll see how long that lasts. But that's what it feels like to me right now, and what best as I can tell. That all that said, like, morale is not good inside the company.
Really?
No, I mean, layoffs are one thing, but
has it ever been?
I would argue,
we heard the stories about executives crying at their desks, but that is
sure.
fine.
No, sure. Like, it's it absolutely is a tough culture, but I've talked to tons of people over the years who do well there, and they take the pros and the cons of the work culture, sort of in stride. And I would say, yeah, during years where early years of Alexa or early years of Prime, there were people really excited about their job every day. They try to avoid Jeff Bezos and his question mark emails, but I'd say in large swaths of the company, I don't know that morale has been worse. And I think beyond the layoffs,
it hasn't gotten any worse. There we go.
I mean, I think the communication, what I talk to some people there, and there are people who like working there. And I talked to some folks when the layoffs happened, and they said, it's not even that we had layoffs. Like, we weren't going to grow forever unchecked, but just the terrible communication and lack of communication, just the execution of it was just atrocious. And just so I don't know.
It always sounds like when I have a bunch of friends that work at Amazon. Yeah. It always sounds like such a grind, and it always just seems like they're just tired. Like, and they they don't. There's not a lot of, for my friends, there's not a lot of other places to go. What they do there is pretty specialized, and so they don't have that skill set. Doesn't necessarily copy, but there's this kind of steady flow of them into other companies when they can find something else. And it's always the fact that it's just it feels so micromanaged, I think, is what a lot of people feel like. You're always grinding up against the margin and the process and how much everything costs, and everything's penny pitching. And it's fine. It's just like no one that I know of was bought by Amazon and thought life got better. Yeah. Like nobody says, fair. I got bought. We had a great company culture, and then we were bought by Amazon, and then it got even better. That's never, no one ever. Like they're like, we got into Amazon and we got ground into a little, pulp, and now Amazon's got this thing where they rotate I work with folks, they rotate your salespeople all the time. Like you never know who you'll get embedded, and someone understands how your business works, and you're talking to them every week. And then like 6 months into it, they're like, oh, there's a new salesperson. And it's like I'm like, what happened? And then I just stopped having meetings with them, because I was like, I'm tired of that. Like, I don't want to, why talk to a salesperson if you're going to keep on changing them? like I'll just tell you when I need something, it just.
Yeah, we have the same exact experience with ad agencies, but that's another story for another day. Yeah. Let me take a break. Great panel. Again, too good, the conversation, which has allowed me to get way behind. So I'm going to get a couple ads in here, and we will have more with Alex, Lindsay. It's great to have you on the big show at the grown-up table.
It's good to have a wider, like we're always on we
always have to talk about Apple. This is much more interesting.
Exactly.
Jason Del Rey, expert on Amazon and Walmart. How's the morale at Walmart? I mean, are people happy to be there?
I think it's better than it's been. If you care about the future of the company outside of the walls of a store, you care about digital. I think it probably hasn't been better. Now, is that saying a lot when you look at their history in e-commerce? Maybe not, but I think
they're bullish about the future, though.
I think so. I think so. A lot of people I talk to.
That's really interesting. The book Winner Sells All just came out, available on all platforms, including Audible. Did you read the Audible version?
Thank goodness for everyone who listens to that. I did not, but there's a fabulous narrator who I realized looking through his portfolio, beyond some great business books, some romance novels as well. So you get a really different kind of reading.
Roger Wayne knows how to put the lust back into Walmart and Amazon. All right.
I mean, I highly recommend the audio version with Roger.
The lovers quarrel version.
With two questions of his own. Did you just ask me what I was wearing? He deadpanned.
Wow, it sounds like a romance novel. I can't wait. Winner sells all at Finder bookstores everywhere. And the wonderful Denise Howell. Did you just ask me what I was wearing? I'm wearing
No, I did not.
Oh, too bad.
That was me and Jeff Bezos, by the way. But everyone can listen to that.
Yeah, that's the sample on Audible. Actually, you should, because this was a former sponsor. Taylor Store designed this. So,
ooh, yeah. I still have all my Scott Evest stuff.
Yes. Basically, sponsors dress us. Denise has a new podcast coming soon at hearsayculture.com. 2 new podcasts. Our show today brought to you by, well, you see it all the time, our studio sponsor, ACI Learning. You might say, who are they? Well, you know IT Pro. IT Pro has been with us since they started, almost an entire decade, providing engaging and entertaining IT training for all of you. I know many of you are members of the IT Pro community. Now, as part of the ACI Learning family, IT Pro's capabilities expand in such a great way with bingeable, short-form video content, now over 7,000 hours and counting of on-demand, incredible content, full of information, but also entertaining and engaging, which is great. You know, 30% of ACI learners are MSPs. Did you know that? Managed service providers. ACI Learning is dedicated to supporting your MSP team through any challenge. MSPs love ACI Learning's practice labs because you can actually try out configurations, experiment with tools before deploying new apps or updates, and they don't compromise your live system. In fact, if you screw up, which I often do, you just close the tab in your browser and all is forgiven. That's a great way to try stuff out before you do it. You can also test out your skills on their virtual machine labs with multiple instances of Windows Server and desktop clients, and it runs anywhere, OS X, Linux, iOS, Windows, even on Chromebooks, because any HTML5 browser works fine. You can prepare for challenging certification exams with practice questions. I love the idea of taking the test before you take the test, so you know when you're ready to sit for the exam. One happy MSP team leader said, quote, I had 110 engineers in the field. We had dozens of IT Pro accounts last year alone. They passed over 40 certs. Keep your team sharp, learning, expanding. They love it. You'll love it. Your customers will love it. If your IT training isn't raising your team to the level you aspire, you need ACI Learning. ACI Learning makes great videos, by the way. I'd like to throw this stat in because it's great. The training industry average completion rate on videos is 30%. That means more than 70% just bail out before it's over because they're not fun. They're boring. With ACI Learning, 80% completion rate because it's informative, but it's also entertaining, engaging. These people are your friends. It's a wonderful way to learn. Don't settle for subpar training. Your team, your IT team wants this. You want this if you're trying to get into IT. You can, by the way, the Pro Portal is great if you have a team that you want to get training for. Gives you all the information, metrics like logins, viewing times, courses viewed, tracks completed. Really great way to manage your team and to prove return on investment, too. They got great visual reports. If you are working with compliance, you'll love this. Other training companies may not comply with regulatory requirements, but ACI Learning holds an ISO certification. So you're getting world-class training that's correct, that's accurate, that's right, that's certified. ACI Learning's courses are great. Easy to navigate. You get full transcripts. Their structure is very straightforward. You can even get custom training designed for you. Try it for yourself, then bring your whole team along. For individuals, just go to go.acilearning.com/twit. Use the offer code TWIT30 for 30% off a standard or premium individual IT Pro membership. If you have a team and you want to bring that team along, they've got training for teams from 2 to 1,000 people, and of course, very good discounts starting at just 5 seats. Learn more about ACI Learning's premium training options across audit, IT, and cybersecurity readiness. Again, the address, go.acilearning.com/twit. TWiT. Just fill out that form. go.acilearning.com/TWiT. You'll get more information, a free 2-week training trial for your team. And if you're an individual or you just want to try before you buy, don't forget that offer code TWIT30 for 30% off a standard or premium individual IT Pro membership. It is a great way to learn. go.acilearning.com/TWiT. We thank them so much for their support. Don't know what this means? Gannett, the publishers of USA Today, are suing Google. This is, Google's in trouble with the EU, with the FTC, and now apparently you like the idea of suing Alex Lindsay. The publisher of USA Today says Google legally monopolizes the advertising technology market. This is kind of similar to what the DOJ is already saying.
I think they have the right to a day in court. I don't know how you fix I don't know how you fix the problem, but I definitely think they have the right to figure it out, to hash it out with them. I'd rather see it done in court than trying to have the FTC or the EU try to figure out how to fix it. I think that the chances of winning are pretty low, but I think that it's interesting. I just don't know how to unwrap the media industry is so entwined with the Google advertising that I get that they don't like it and they're frustrated by it. But if Google stops linking to them, like, that Facebook is what Facebook and possibly Google is talking about in Canada, they'll die. That'll be the end. Like, it's not, if they say, hey, we're not going to pay for this, we're just going to cut you off. They'll all, the governments will have to come in and pay for everything because there won't be any more money. So I think that it's complicated. It's a really complicated thing. I will say that the I don't know how to unwrap what's going on, but I've been in a lot of meetings around advertising with Google and Facebook, and understanding how their algorithm works is like looking into the sun. Like, it is an incredible amount of power. Like, it's just.
And the other complaint is that they own both sides of the equation, right? They said they run the market. They also are a buyer. They're also a seller. I mean, right. It's as entwined and messed up as possible. And I think anybody who looks at it says, yeah, this is not a competitive situation. But you're right. I don't know how you unwind it. You mentioned Canada. Canada passed a link tax. This is one of Jeff Jarvis's, hated Leistungsrecht or whatever he calls it, the link tax. Canada has passed C-18, and as a result, Facebook is saying, okay, fine. You don't want news? We'll see you later. That's one way to do it. The premise
and they did that in Australia too.
Yeah, the premise is
that's how it started.
Oh, geez, Meta, you're making money off of our content. Meta's, I think, quite reasonable response is, well, if that's how you feel about it, we don't have to send you any more traffic. And what inevitably happens is that these news media suffer as a result, right? So this is another one where I don't know what the answer is, but clearly C-18 was not the answer.
Yeah, in a world where people don't have print publications delivered to their doors anymore.
Except books.
Except books.
Yes, and a wonderful book. Yes. But never mind. You don't have to go on.
Sorry, Denise, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and actually, some people do have print publications delivered to their doors. Some people really enjoy that, feeling of the newspaper in their hand. But
I love holding a hardcover book of something like Winner Sells All in my hands and reading it. Actually, I got the Kindle, as you can see, I got the Kindle version of it because I was in a hurry.
Right.
I will listen to the audio book version. That's easier for me. I
tend to do the audibles, and that narrator sounded intriguing. So
I love that line they used. That was great. Yeah. What are you wearing?
But I'm saying, the way I find that the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Boston Herald has done a story on something that I'm interested in is because someone has linked to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody learned. That's what they learned in Spain when Google pulled the news. It's what I'm sure they'll learn in Australia, and I'm sure Canada is going to be next.
Well, in Australia, they worked it. I think they worked it out where they turned it off, and then they went back and negotiated with everyone, so they don't quite fit into that. So it took a couple of weeks of a little bit of a thing. We're willing to talk to you, but you're not going to make any money until we figure this out. So I think that they were able to kind of find a middle ground that the government couldn't find, in that area. So I think that maybe the government forced that forward. I don't know who got the better deal.
In the case of Australia, it was Rupert Murdoch. You know, he didn't. Right. He wanted a little money out of Google, and Google bristled. And I think that he got a little money out of Google. Is what I think the final result was. Maybe not as much as he was hoping for.
I think that one of the things that the publishers really missed the boat on this one. I mean, I did a talk in 2002 of like, you should move all your current subscribers online, and literally was laughed at by hundreds of publishers. Like, you could hear them chuckling about, talking about this little thing. And the only company that came up to me after my talk was the New York Times. Like, like they were way ahead of me. They had been thinking about this for a while. It's not like I told them something they didn't know. They're making a lot of money. Like this isn't and the publishers really, this, I think it's an incredible lesson in taking your current situation and making sure that you're leveraging it into your future. And most of these publishers did not do it at all, or did not do it very effectively, and didn't really care about it until it was already too late.
One of the things that happened when we first checked into Disneyland, we showed our barcode, which was on our Disney app, which I've immediately deleted as soon as I left. I did not buy the Magic Genie band, which apparently does GPS tracking of your position in the park. Of course, my phone was doing that while I had the app on. But I scanned my ticket, and then they said, okay, smile, and they took a picture of me. Turns out Disney's been using face recognition at Disneyland and Disney World and other Disney parks. I'm not sure exactly. They say it's to understand guest behavior. There are also cameras all over the park. Now that they know what you look like, they know exactly where you are and what you're doing and whether you're smiling.
A lot of that also has to do with predator deflection. So they I agree. They I remember when you walk in.
I remember Taylor Swift turning away a stalker because she uses face recognition at her concerts. I thought that wasn't a bad thing. And then I remember the owner of Madison Square Garden.
Ooh, sorry. Long-time suffering Knicks fan here.
Just the words make you feel bad. But the Dorans own it, right? Dolans, that's it.
James Dolan.
James Dolan, who was mad that MSG was being sued by some attorneys, decided to turn away an attorney that they recognized from a Knicks game. He's known for being petty, says Vanity Fair. So that
is the nicest thing anyone has ever said about James Dolan. Hopefully he's not. He will ban me. I have like a small ticket package, so I better.
He's a wonderful fella, and you love your Knicks tickets.
Oh man!
According to Rolling Stone, Tom Morello and Zack de la Rocha and Boots Riley, three apparently performing artists. I don't know, but I'm told are among 100 other performers calling for a ban on face recognition at live events. Morello, De La Rocha, and Boots Riley say we're not going to perform at venues. Rage Against the Machine is Tom Morello's band, and Zack de la Rocha. Boots Riley, Speedy Ortiz say they will not perform at those venues, which is going to really, I think, limit their, Billy Joel's not leaving Madison Square Garden. I'm just going to say, but there are smaller independent concert venues who have pledged not to use face recognition. And at the same time, though, I feel like, that was a boon for Taylor Swift. So I have mixed feelings again about this one.
I have mixed feelings about it too. Obviously, the more privacy, the better. And the more that we can hold this off, the longer we can hold this off, probably the better. But I do think it's inevitable where we're going to go through the world and be known.
You got to regulate it, though. I mean, James Dolan shouldn't be able to ban an attorney from a Brandi Carlile concert because her firm was suing MSG. So that's clearly over the top. But if it's a security thing at Disney or at a Taylor Swift concert to prevent stalking and harassment, that seems like a good usage. I guess there's also the issue of false positives.
There are. I mean, large venues are a really dangerous place. Like, just so you know, like from a security perspective,
I was thrilled.
Like,
but in order to get close to Disneyland, not even to enter it, but in order to go to downtown Disney, you have to go through a metal detector, and they search your bags. And you know what? I was thrilled. I don't like being in big public venues anymore.
I was talking to someone I was doing an event at Disneyland, and was talking to someone there about it, and I said, "Oh, I've never brought my kids here. Like, I've never gone to Disneyland." And I did after this conversation, because he said, "Why would you not take your kids to Disneyland?"
Not only the happiest, it's the most secure place on earth.
Well, he said, I said, "I'm afraid I'm going to lose them," and he goes, "They never get lost. They just get misplaced for a little while." And he said, because it's $1 billion problem for Disney. I mean, like, we think about this all the time.
Oh yeah.
And he said, and he said, we can reunite you with as soon as your child knows, as soon as you know, and sometimes before you know that you've been separated, we've already found your child. There's people watching on these cameras.
City Hall.
So basically, other than the bathrooms and some of the eatery places, everything's under camera. And when they see a child who is lost, who's crying and can't find them, every character there is trained. They're just all trained to make it, and their goal is to make it a better experience for the child that they got lost.
There are 5 Mickeys.
They have candy, and they have fun, and they talk to them.
Yeah.
But what they do in the video is they watch the kid go back. They back up the video backwards until they're with their parents, and then they go forward with the parents until they know where their parents are, and then they close that gap. And they do it. And I said, "Well, how many? This is incredible." I said, "How many times do you do that a day?" And he goes, "Oh, like 150, 160 times a day." Like it's not even like, it's just like, but he said, this is the safest place in the world for kids.
I guess with facial recognition and the app, they could let you know on your phone, "Hey, we've got
eventually
your kid." And that would be in a non-threatening, "We've got your kid."
We did discuss facial. Yeah, we did discuss facial recognition. Yeah, we did talk about facial recognition, and that was, at least at the time, it was all about child predators. And so the thing is, you don't make it to the turnstiles. They will.
That's appropriate.
That's why they ask you when you get to the turnstile. That's why they ask you to take your hat off. Yeah. So that their facial recognition.
That's
will
completely
work.
Appropriate.
Yeah. And so, but they're like, that's a big problem for us. Like, we can't have that happen, and we'll do anything.
And frankly, it's great to have metal detectors. I don't, let's not have handguns in Disney World. I don't think that's a bad thing.
So I think that, and I'm usually not the security, like the heavy, like we should allow all this stuff as you see in MacBreak. I'm usually against most of those things. Yeah. But I will say that when you understand how porous these large venues are, and how easy it would be to do horrible things there. Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time going to those things, knowing I don't want to be where the crowd is. I work in a lot of these events, and I stay behind stage the whole time, and with the notion that, and we have protocols of like what will happen if something happens, and we have to talk through those on every single show. Yeah. Like, where do we go? What's our egress? What's what's the safe word?
Because I was waiting for, I did not ride the Matterhorn, so I'm standing. There's one place where the people come down at the end of the Matterhorn.
That was the one I rode. That was it. I was a Matterhorn or a bus.
How do you feel now? Huh? Lisa said her back still hurts.
Yeah. When my son was 5, it was I took him on, and I didn't want him to jump off behind me. So I said, "Oh, just go in front of me." They put him in the first car.
Oh, that's the
worst.
He's
like 5 years old, and he loved it. Hung on to that thing, and all I could hear is him yelling, "I'm not scared. I'm
okay, Daddy." Oh yeah. Well, anyway, so I'm standing there with my camera because I want to get a picture of them coming down. And I noticed within less than a minute that a security guy is standing across from me, just not hostilely or anything, just standing there, looking at me. And I noticed that. And then I went and sat down, and he went on with his way. They are very good. That didn't bother me. I thought that's appropriate. That's appropriate. So this is why I'm torn on this. Hey, if your band's name is Rage Against the Machine, you probably should be against face recognition at venues. I understand. but I'm thinking, if I'm Taylor Swift, I want that protection. I think that's a good thing.
And I think that we also underestimate how much facial recognition. And when someone says, "Oh, they're doing facial recognition at the event," as if they're not doing facial recognition on all the streets that lead up to the event,
doing it everywhere,
and all the other things that are happening. I mean, like, it's like not like they found a lot when the Boston bombers, the Boston Marathon bombing, they knew who they were pretty quickly. Like, it was they were able to suck that data out pretty fast. So it's, there's a lot there already.
Yeah.
The Madison Square Garden thing always cracked me up because it evinced such a misunderstanding of how large law firms actually work.
Yeah.
I mean, large law firms don't know all the disputes that they are handling. Not every member of the firm knows exactly all the litigation they're involved in.
And because one attorney can't go see Brandi Carlile or a Knicks game, they're not going to, we better drop the lawsuit against the Dolans. That's not going to happen either. It's just petty.
No.
Petty's the right word for it. It's just BS.
I will say, with everything, it's not a matter of, we're going to drop the lawsuit. It does add a little friction to and this is why he shouldn't be allowed to do this. It does add friction to the next case. Like the next case is like, well, this better be good because, we're not going to get to see our Knicks games. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to take the case if it's a good case, but it does mean that if it's not a really good case, they're like, is it really worth this? Or should we just send
How aware of this are you when you go to Madison Square Garden, Jason, to see your team?
I'm usually pretty distracted by some turmoil or
a fist fight in the stands.
They've placed on me. I would have had a lot better, more sane upbringing if my dad never took me to a Knicks game. I mean, and now I'm doing the same thing to my 10-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. So, hey, Alex, I wanted to ask Alex. We're talking about facial recognition. You were talking about Whole Foods earlier. Do you pay with your palm? Are you letting them connect your credit card with your palm with your biometrics?
What did they do? They did something with that. No, I use my Apple Pay. Okay. Like I just use my watch, most of the time when I'm at Whole Foods.
That's a really good solution because Apple's protecting your privacy. It's still very convenient.
Best that they do. I mean, the bottom line is I use the little thing that potentially will save me 20 cents. Like it never gets me any money for whatever I buy. Never gets me. I never buy with things that are on sale, evidently. And so it never gets me any money, but it knows, like, the one thing is if I want to buy food online, it's like, here's all the things you've bought at Whole Foods for the last 10 years
Is that good
2 or
or
3
not?
years.
Is that a feature?
I don't know. I use it as I will say that it is a little bit of a feature if I'm trying to order something from Whole Foods.
You'll scan your Whole Foods code every time?
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to steal my Whole Foods code, go ahead and use it.
It changes. It changes all the time. It changes all the time. Yeah. So because it'll be like, it's too old if I don't put it up after I turned it on.
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
It does change. Look at that.
I don't, I think that I used to, I was the kind of guy that was like, I would burn, like, Colorado has this, you have to give your thumbprints. And I would literally put my thumbs on a hot plate before I went there and just burn them off just to be difficult, and so that's how much I was anti, like, do not follow me around. I don't want to give you any information that I have to. But at the same time, and I would grow a beard and I would do all kinds of weird things because I was just angry that they were asking for that. After you learn how deep it is, you're kind of like,
you gave up.
You're going to go to a cabin and use cash, or you're going to kind of just know that that's the nature of it, because it's really,
you give up.
It's really hard to avoid. Yeah.
So just statistically, so there are 11 states right now considering enacting their own biometric privacy laws.
Like Illinois has.
Illinois has one, and many other states bundle biometric information, including California is in this group, as a form of sensitive information under their privacy laws. So, but it is all part of the patchwork that we live with every day, and it doesn't. You have to check in what state, what law applies, because we don't have a national standard on these things.
Yeah.
The problem will be is when there's a terrorist act in one of those states, the law enforcement and the FBI will blame the fact that we can't use this data. Like, someone's going to get thrown under the bus. That's why everyone's careful about it, is because it is, we can decide whether we want it to happen or not, but it is effective. Like, not as effective as metadata, which is the most effective thing. But
that's the problem. They've got all the metadata anyway. So I think really the answer to this is, these are powerful, useful technologies in the right hands. There needs to be limits and regulations on how they can be used. And unfortunately, I don't feel like we can really count on our government for doing any of that, at least not in a timely fashion. Let me take a quick break. I want to talk about our sponsor, Miro. We've been using Miro. Miro is so cool. We have an Ask the Tech Guy board. The problem really in doing an ad for Miro is I just don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say it's a whiteboard. It's so much more than that. Go to Miro.com. Actually, go to Miro.com/podcast so we get credit for it. And then you'll see on the left here, the Miroverse, because these are templates designed by actual Miro users to use Miro. So what's the idea here? Well, if you've got a team, especially these days with teams that are distributed in different time zones, different locations, it's very complicated to keep that team on the same page. It's not just different places and time zones. It's different tools. You use a little bit of Figma, a little bit of Google's Pages, a little bit of Zoom, and pretty soon you've got all these tabs open. You've got these, and every time you context shift, trust me, you're forgetting stuff. You're losing stuff. It's like when you go through a door and you can't remember why you entered that room. Miro solves this as a collaborative visual platform that brings all your great work together, no matter where your team is, no matter what tools your team uses. It's all in one place, so you have a single source of truth. You can zoom into the details if you want to know exactly how something works. Zoom out to the 30,000-foot level if you want to see an overview. Miro is a great way to bring in the entire team, get input from everyone, democratize collaboration, and still stay on the same page. Miro's infinite shared boards give product teams a perpetual space. You can just drag and drop insights in. Great for mood boards. But they have all sorts of tools like timers for your Zoom meeting, icebreakers. Nothing is lost. Nothing is forgotten. Miro is whatever you need it to be, and that's why it's hard for me to describe it. The good news is if you go to Miro.com/podcast, your first 3 boards are free forever, so you can try it. You can start playing with it. Use it with your team. You can build out your product vision on a Miro board by brainstorming with sticky notes or comments. You can have live reactions. There's a voting tool, a timer if you've got time constraints. You can express yourself in creative ways, bring the whole group together around one idea. It integrates with all the tools you're already using, so it's very simple to move to Miro and bring everything in. You can use a wireframe, draw with the pen tool, put images and mockups. I can go on and on. We use it with Zapier to integrate a bunch of stuff in automatically. Miro users say they save, get this, 80 hours per user per year. That's like 2 weeks of extra time just by streamlining conversations and cutting down meetings. Miro, M-I-R-O, gives your team the chance to always stay connected to real-time information. Gives product managers and product leads a bird's eye view of the whole project to ensure nothing slips through the cracks. I guess it's not a surprise when I tell you more than 1 million users, 1 million people use Miro every month. Get your first 3 boards free. Start working better. Miro, Miro.com/podcast. Miro.com/podcast. Best way to understand what it is to try it, and you'll be blown away. And do check the Miroverse for a lot of great ideas on how you can use Miro for pretty much anything. Let's see. Back to the show we go. Oh, before I do that, though, I wasn't here for most of the week, and so they've made a little briefing book for me. I want to take it home with me and study it, but for your benefit, we'll play it right now.
Don't push too hard on the top of this thing because it will shoot off the dock. It doesn't take a lot of force to kind of...
Oh, gosh.
Luckily, it didn't hit my drink. I have a gin and tonic on the table. It just slid.
Okay, is it okay?
I didn't do it on purpose.
Previously on TWiT. This Week in Space.
We're talking about our favorite space conspiracies. I believe, depending on the time period you're talking about, and not all that recently, something like 72% of the Russian public does not believe that America landed on the moon. Just look at the stuff that came out of the Soviet Union after the collapse in the early 90s. They were tracking everything we did up there. Mm-hmm. They had radar and were monitoring radio, and you can monitor the Doppler shift of radio and get some idea where it's coming from.
MacBreak Weekly.
James Thompson filling in for Jason Snell this week. James is the author of PCalc.
It's always good when you can come out of a keynote and think, I actually don't need to do anything. That is the best feeling in the entire world of like, if I do nothing, everything will still work. And it's cool.
This week in Google.
Oh, I got one. I got one. Do software engineers wash their underwear? The Guardian did a trend story, one of those ridiculous trend stories of people who are deciding not to wash their underwear for a week. And who is the lead of the story? Of course, it's a software engineer.
I don't think the reputation for not washing underwear is going to help with the reputation of engineers. That's all I'm
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Twit.
Well, that's not the story I thought you were going to throw out there.
You never know. You never know. With Jeff Jarvis on This Week in Google. I am back, and I'll be here all week. We're going to have a lot of fun. I hope you'll join us for all the shows. Of course, if you're a member of Club Twit, you see all those shows ad-free. $7 a month also gets you access to special shows we only do in the club. Jason's working on a show for us in the club. Aunt Pruitt's working on stuff for us in the club. Of course, Micah Sargent's got Hands on Macintosh. We've got Hands on Windows with Paul Thurrott, the Linux show, and GizWiz, a whole lot more. And access to the Discord, which is always so much fun. Club Twit, $7 a month. And you also get to visit with Lily. I hear her right now. twit.tv/glub-twit. She says, join, please join. Okay, time for some good news. Hacker responsible for the 2020 Twitter breach. Going to jail 7 years. Ooh. This is the guy, remember this, when all the famous people on Twitter like Joe Biden tweeted, I'm giving back to the community. All Bitcoin sent to the address below will be sent back doubled. Honestly, did this guy really deserve 7 years? This was such a lame scam. He didn't apparently make any money out of it, although he agreed to forfeit $794,000 to the victims of his crime. So maybe he did. He's a citizen of the UK, was extradited from Spain earlier this year. He'll serve probably half of his sentence after spending more than 2 years in pretrial custody. It's been a while, right? He faced up to 77 years, however. So, according to prosecutors, this is typical. The hacker used his sophisticated technical abilities for malicious purposes, conducting a complex SIM swap attack to steal large amounts of cryptocurrency, hacking Twitter, conducting computer intrusions to take over social media accounts, even cyber-stalking 2 victims, including a minor victim. And maybe that's why he got 7 years. I'm not going to, Anyway, it was a dumb thing to do. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure he really deserves 7 years. And Twitter probably deserves a little pain for how weak and lax their security was. YouTube is testing an online games offering playables. We saw this at VidCon. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing this. YouTube's doing just
everybody's getting into games.
Yeah,
games are good. Turns out sports and games are good content.
On the heels though of dumping Stadia, it's like okay,
it's 2 different teams. Like the Stadia team and the YouTube team are 2 different worlds, and they and I think Google likes it that way.
I have to say, it's really hard for me these days to take anything Google does too seriously.
I will say that I would keep on really, Google is in Mountain View and YouTube's in San Bruno, and they really operate. I mean, they definitely
YouTube
leverage each other's
you're
value.
Right. YouTube seems
is
a
very
little better run than Google itself.
It's a big machine. It takes a lot longer for it to do things, but it does them in this kind of methodical, mechanical way of just slowly rolling things out and slowly putting things out. It's not a new feature. It's adding these features. I rarely see YouTube back up. They're just slowly making adjustments, and they're in a lot of interaction with their users, and they're looking at a lot of data and trying to, and dealing with a lot of really complicated things. But I don't see I agree with you that Google is like, you never know what's going to happen. Like anything that's been
after
released.
They killed Stadia and then killed Google domains. I feel like, if they announce a new product, not YouTube, you're right. If Google announces a new product, I'm going to be slow to adopt. Let's put it that way.
And that's the problem that they had was that, even back, 10 years ago, the big problem was people wanted to see Google hang on to something for 2 years before they jumped into it. And now when you talk to people, you're not sure if they'll ever trust that they should go down that path, right. And so that's really, they've gone from, I have to see it for a while. And with Apple, that's why a lot of people jump on things pretty quickly with Apple, is because that Apple took a long time to think about it, and whether it's a good idea or not a good idea, they're going to do it for the next 5 to 10 years. They're not going to vary. Once they start going down the path, they're not going to change direction. Whether you like it or not is the question.
We're just a few weeks off from Meta launching its Twitter clone. Mid-July, according to rumors, this is from Forbes. There is already on the Fediverse a whole petition saying if Meta puts, they call it Threads, apparently. If Meta puts Threads on the Fediverse, we will block it from our instances. I don't know. I think it could be a good thing.
That seems very un-Fediverse-y.
I know. I didn't sign that petition.
Yeah.
Our twit.social, which you are very active on, Denise, and I appreciate it. We will wait and see. I think there's a fear that there'll be an onslaught of Meta users on the Fediverse. Well, fine. So what? Doesn't hurt anything.
It'll be interesting to see how they innovate. I mean, I think that they can. Obviously, Twitter has its own issues, and so they're trying to capitalize on that. That's been an area that they've been outside of. It'll be interesting to see what they do differently that Twitter hasn't done. I mean,
apparently actively going after celebrities to get them on there. They want to launch with some big names, which makes sense in this creator universe, creator-driven universe.
I mean, their timing's good. People aren't liking their Twitter experience.
It's getting worse and worse, right?
Yeah.
I am curious whether they want to go after current Twitter users and heavy users versus everyone else in my personal life who has tried Twitter in the past and just never got it, outside of the media, tech, or politics set. And I guess you start where you have people who appreciate the type of platform, but it just seems like a huge open opportunity for folks who just never got Twitter, but maybe there's something a little more straightforward, or I don't know what. But
I think everybody that I know jumps on everything and make sure that they get their name.
Get your name. That's what I'll do.
That's always the thing. It's like, get your name.
I'll get my name, and then wait and see. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Nostr. Yeah. I'm on T2. I'm on all of them. None of them has replaced Twitter, which is sad.
It's hard.
It's sad. Meta has been reaching out, according to The Verge, to unnamed big celebrities who are being pitched on Threads as a, quote, sanely run, end quote, platform.
Sanity.
Does this have anything to do?
It's now a marketing point.
I realize I buried the number one story of the week. Does this have anything to do with the proposed cage match between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg?
Why, yes. Yes, it does.
Those Twitter, the batons being advertised on Twitter might come in handy for
Elon's
going
to have to bring it. Because honestly, I think Mark Zuckerberg is in a little bit better shape. He's also about, 10 years younger, 15 years?
I think he does a lot of training. I think he's doing martial arts training.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I have a good friend who actually wrote an article today or yesterday for the Wall Street Journal. He practices jiu-jitsu. I don't know if that's what you say, practice, train, do jiu-jitsu anyway. And he talked to some trainers and I'd put my money on Zuck unless Elon has the baton.
There was a good article. Go ahead.
Someone who spends a lot of time in jiu-jitsu, I think I'd probably still, give them the advantage.
There was a good, first of all, this cage match is never going to happen no matter what anybody says. You'd be insane to get in the cage with Mark Zuckerberg. Elon would just get his ass kicked, to be blunt. But there's
it's kind of funny how this all developed.
Oh my gosh. Where's Bezos and his muscles in this? Nowhere to be seen.
Oh yeah, he could, you know what, that I'd like to see. Jeff and Zuck. Now that'd be a good battle.
He'd be just like, I'm just a shareholder now. Like he's kind of retired, right?
Yeah, he doesn't care. I guess I don't know where this all started.
I think Zuck was being sort of subtweeted in a thread on Twitter, and at some point, Elon said,
"I'm up for a cage match if he is."
Exactly.
LOL. Whoops.
Right. And rather than engage on Twitter, because why would you if you're Mark Zuckerberg, he posts on his Instagram to his stories, send me the location, or words to that effect. So that's how he let people know
and then
he was
people at UFC who obviously have would love to see this happen at the Octagon in Vegas have said, "Oh no, it's real." It is not real. Excuse me. Pardon me. There's no way these two billionaires are going to brutally beat on each other. There's just nothing to be gained. But there was a good article that said this is all part of a larger effort by Meta's marketing to position Mark as a he-man, not as some sort of weird robotic leader. And that makes a lot of sense to me. That there has been an effort. We talked about this, Mark saying, I just completed the Murph's challenge or whatever it was, which is running and lifting and like 1,000 pull-ups and all this stuff. I think Mark is in a lot better shape, but I also think this is part of a concerted plan to polish Mark's image and to make Meta seem like something besides kind of a tech weenie's attempt to get into your personal cheese or something.
So not that this is probably passable under the applicable state's right of publicity laws, but people are already selling T-shirts and merch.
Oh my God. Look, if Elon is foolish enough to get in the Octagon with Mark Zuckerberg, he deserves whatever he gets. Anyway, there's just no way that's going to happen. Let's see. Oh, and finally, and I ask you this, Alex Lindsay, because I know you're a massive Midjourney fan. Version 5.2 comes out, which gives you ability to zoom out.
It's amazing.
Have you played with it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for hours. So it's great. There's a couple things about it. The overall quality of 5.2 is much higher. There is an ability. So the zoom out is that's part of what's interesting about 5.2. So what you can do is you can say, I want a close up, and then you can build something that's got a wider shot to it, and then build it to a wider shot. So, and what it's doing is reproducing that center part. Interestingly enough, not always verbatim. Like it'll match up, but it's still redoing something, but it looks almost identical, but zoomed out. And so you can do a zoom out, you can do a lot of zoom out or a little bit of zoom out. Now, one thing you'll notice is some of the shots, the ways Midjourney drew it was with a wide angle lens. And so it looks really fisheye sometimes when you pull back out again. But overall it is, it's a really cool feature that has been something that a lot of us, wanted for a while. Is to be able to build bigger shots with that in it, and so it's pretty cool.
It gets a little creepy if you go out far enough. Like it starts to hallucinate at a certain point.
Because it doesn't know what to. Yeah, it doesn't know what to do there. I mean, Midjourney hallucinates often. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the business. You know, of what it's doing. So you get these things like you'll get 3 really normal things, and then you'll be like, "Whoa, what happened there?" Like it just flipped a bit, and so the. But it also, the other thing that's really interesting is the new variables. So a variance. So when you do a variance where you say, I want you to make, I like this image. I want to make 4 more. You can do a lot or a little. So you can say, I just want it to vary just a little bit, or I want it to vary a lot. And you can make those decisions as you start to hit that, as you go through that to make it. And it's really useful.
You are quite the Midjourney master. You think this is better than anything else?
Master, but
well,
oh yeah, it's the best image generator.
It's quite amazing. If you're worried about people mistaking AI generated images for real images, this is the place where you're going to see that happen.
We talked about on MacBreak. I make my lock screens all, from from this, and it looks so good. Yeah. Like it's just like they just look like photos that I graded about things that I'm interested in, and so it's and
it's
I
trippy,
use,
man. This is really trippy. Wow.
Because the number one use that I have for it is making funny images for my keynote documents when I do presentations. Like, because the thing I ask for is over a plain white background, so I can remove the background in keynote. And so I have all these funny characters, and then the other thing that's funny is go in the style of Pixar. So I'll go, okay, I want a guy I want a geeky guy with glasses that looks confused, and I also want a woman that has got glasses on, looks confused, and an African-American woman that has, like and I can set up all these things and ask for all these things if I want a little crowd that all looks confused. And I say, in the style of Pixar. And then I get all these little cartoon characters over a plain white background, and I can stack them all on top of each other. And there is a new thing that we just started. We had a whole Midjourney thing on our office hours, like on Monday. And one of the things that came up was another Midjourney that now I'm going to forget the name unless I look at it here, but that basically builds vector files. Trace Journey. Trace Journey is the one that will build outlines. Ooh. So it'll take your Midjourney image and then turn it into an SVG image. Like and it looks a little posterized because it's, now it's a vector, but but you can do that as well. So 5.2 is a big jump.
We'll definitely be talking more about this on MacBreak Weekly. We will see you on Tuesday, and I know will be talking about this and everything else under the sun at officehours.global. You talk about so much. I love this accessibility Saturdays you're doing now.
We're really excited about it. We're basically going, it's, every one of them, the first two have come out and they're just eye-opening, so we're talking to, different aspects of accessibility. So last Saturday, we were talking about languages. Well, what does it take to actually take an event and do all the different languages that are required and all the technical things? But the other thing that's interesting is that it's not just that the show is talking about accessibility. It's actually, we have a deaf panelist, and we have ASL interpreters, and the deaf panelist is interacting and talking to us, and we have different accessibility issues, and we have panelists that are talking about those things from life experience, which is really it's really cool. So I think that we're really excited about the Saturday. These are Saturdays that we're going to be talking about it all summer, and we're going to kind of cover the gamut of accessibility issues, and each one of them has been a real, just really understanding what the needs are, and us trying to figure out how do we solve those with what we're doing.
If you want to see a laboratory for what is happening in new media, this is really one of the most exciting spaces out there. officehours.global. It's free. You can just watch the videos on YouTube or on the website, but you can also join in because it's a Zoom call. And if you want to participate, you can get an invitation by going to officehours.global and clicking the Join Us button.
Yep. If you join us, you'll get an email every day that tells you there's a new subject every single day, except for Sunday, when we just talk about what we were talking about. It's just Sunday mornings, us just messing around.
Hire Alex 090.media. Thank you, Alex. I'm going to see you Tuesday.
Thank you.
Denise, thank you so much. Always great to see Denise Howell. You said are you imminent launching the new podcasts?
Yeah, it should be within the next month or so. I believe I said this the last time I was on TWiT, but they're trying to work out the back end issues of distribution and things of the show.
I know how hard that is. Yes.
Right. So I think we are all but pulled the trigger on launching the new website and actually starting to publish shows. We've recorded quite a few.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Here's to keep up on it and to know when she does launch, hearsayculture.com. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much, Denise. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Jason, I'm sorry to have kept you for 3 hours. Your 10-year-old son says, I just got a text from him saying, let my daddy go. So I'm gonna let you go.
No, my pleasure.
The book is Winner Sells All from HarperCollins. It's available on Audible, Amazon. Probably can get it at Walmart. I would guess.
Barnes & Noble. I've gotten a bunch of photos from friends in Barnes & Noble stores across the country.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. And there is another excerpt, just if anyone wants another read at Business Insider, and that one has to do with Amazon bookstore employees when they did have bookstores, doing some shady things, signing up people for Prime, which seems to be a trend.
Golly.
FTC has not commented on that one yet.
Shady strategies. Yeah, because, people is different. It's harder to trap them than stuff that's online where you can get screenshots of it. But boy, that's very interesting. And where else can we see your stuff, Jason?
So, I was at Recode for a really long time, which is now part of Vox.com. I've been heads down on the book, so you could find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and I do have a Substack called Already Shipped, which is mostly book focused right now, but may soon expand beyond that as I get through this little tour.
Oh my God! How much longer do you have to plug this book?
This week I'll visit with my old boss, Kara Swisher, this week.
Oh, nice.
And her co-host, Scott Galloway.
Give Kara our regards. Of course, she used to be a regular before she became a big shot on this show. Yeah.
So about another week or two of TV and pods.
Nice. Well, thank you for spending 3 long hours with us. I really appreciate it.
I had a lot of fun.
Great book. I haven't finished it, but I've been enjoying it. It's one of those things where the anecdotes come fast and furious and are fascinating. If you've been following Walmart and Amazon in their battle, winner sells all. Thank you, Jason Del Rey. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining us. A lot of fun. Great conversation. We do TWiT on Sundays, around 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. I only mention that because you can watch us do it live. There's a live stream, audio or video, at live.twit.tv. If you are watching live, there's an IRC, a chat room at irc.twit.tv, open to all. Of course, Club TWiT members get the stadium level club in our Club TWiT Discord, which is always loads of fun, including animated GIFs. Twit.tv/Club TWiT if you're not already a member. After the fact, ad-supported versions of the show available, as they always have been, at our website, twit.tv. When you go there, you'll also find links to the YouTube channel dedicated to This Week in Tech. You'll also find links to various podcast players. Probably the best way to get the show, just search for TWiT in your favorite podcast player and then subscribe to everything. Just get them all. That way you got them. If you want to listen, you always have them there. You're never without a little bit of TWiT in your life. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Another TWiT is in the can. Bye-bye.